you don't exist. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look at better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheap again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of What If Naruto Joins Digimon World. Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of KitsuneDragon on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Previously on the series. Meanwhile in Hypno's HQ, Yamaki's eyes widened as he saw the whole thing. The battle between the Digimon the wild ones and the power that they held. They are a threat that must be stopped, Yamaki growled. The damage they've caused will be impossible to create a cover story for. However, Yamaki's eyes widened as he saw the blonde wild one tamer with the purple dragon wild one perform weird hand signs, and then a large water dragon engulfed a ball of what looked like red data. Then he watched the brown-haired kid with the red dinosaur that had evolved somehow along with the Asian with the bunny dog wild one and the red-haired girl with the golden and white-furred fox wild one leave. However, the surprises weren't about finished, for just as the head of Hypnos was about to turn around, he saw the blonde kid form more hand signs and then slammed his hand on the ground, and Yamaki watched as time itself seemed to be reversed, as the damage done by the battle being removed as if it were never there. Interesting. Good thing my sunglasses have a built-in camera and I recorded this entire event. That blonde kid has piqued my curiosity, though the power he has over the elements, just what is he? He's not a wild one, that much I can tell, Yamaki thought. He then went into the office and plugged in the tiny microchip in his sunglasses where the video recording device was, and then placed it into the Hypno's computer hard drive. Images of the scene replayed itself. Yamaki fast-forwarded the video before stopping it on the image of Naruto looking at Dorumon and the two of them smiling at each other. Focusing on these two, Yamaki stared at them with unmatched curiosity. Just who is this boy? Now, it was Sunday and the sun shone through Naruto's window in his and Dorumon's bedroom. The sun decided to shine its golden rays into the sleeping face of our blonde protagonist, causing him to groan. Ugh, why son, why do you hate me so? Naruto groaned as he rose from his bed. He glanced at the clock and saw it was 9 in the morning. Well, seeing as I'm up, might as well have breakfast and shower, Naruto thought. The blonde shinobi tamer rose from his bed and went into the kitchen. As he walked in, he saw Dorumon lying down on the couch with his mouth open, showing the Digimon's sharp teeth, and Naruto decided not to wake him as his partner seemed too busy drowning in a puddle of his own drool. Naruto looked into the fridge and took out 4 eggs and 4 pieces of bread to toast. He also took out the butter and made breakfast for both he and Dorumon. The ex-antibody holder stirred in his sleep before the orange-colored eyes snapped open and his senses, especially his sense of smell, went on hyperdrive. Bread. The purple dragon Digimon screamed before running into the kitchen that was also a part of the living room. Naruto chuckled as he finished making the scrambled eggs and toast for both himself and his Digimon. Here you go, buddy, Naruto said as patted Dorumon on his head. Arigato, Naruto. You know I'm glad you're my tamer, he said, taking a bite of his toast. Why is that? Naruto asked as he used a fork and began to eat his eggs. Because you can cook, he said with a chuckle. Naruto chuckled also and watched as Dorumon finished his first pace of toast before going on to his second. Although Dorumon was a Digimon, Naruto saw the digital life form as a brother, a reptilian, metal-shooting, destructive, impulsive digital brother. And I'm glad you're my Digimon, Naruto said, because you're the only one who would eat my food after eating breakfast. Naruto showered and changed into his usual attire of the black t-shirt with an orange-scaled dragon on the front and orange flames on the end of the sleeves and along the hem of the shirt. Bluish-black cargo pants with many pockets, the belt with the crimson X for a buckle, and his pair of orange and blue sneakers. He then put on his G-Shock watch, attached his card case onto his belt and pocketed his D-Arc. He was ready for anything. So what should we do today, old buddy of mine? Dorumon asked. Well, we could go to the park and see Gilman and Calumon, Naruto suggested. How about we go and look for any Digimon to fight? Growlman got the last one after it slammed us into the ground, Dorumon said. You really think we should be fighting again? Naruto asked. Nanny, Naruto, you're a shinobi. You're supposed to fight. Yeah, but not all the time. We could go see Rika along the way, Dorumon persuaded. You know she's always on the prowl for Digimon with Renamen. Naruto glared at his partner. I don't like Rika that way, Naruto said, his eyes flashing crimson. Dorumon smirked. Yet Naruto sighed as Dorumon kept up the opinion that he liked Rika. Well, actually it was a fact, it's just that Naruto chose not to make a move. Alright, we'll go patrolling the city, Naruto said, throwing his arms up in the air as a form of surrendering. Great, let's go, lover boy, Dorumon said. I will kill you one day, the blonde growled. You're my best friend too, buddy. Hypnos HQ, Riley and Yamaki, along with a few technologically advanced people also known as nerds, were looking at the file they had created on the blonde teenager Yamaki was curious about. The picture Yamaki had of Naruto from his video recording yesterday was enlarged to show Naruto's full body. Riley, have you found anything on our mystery wild one tamer? Yamaki asked as he played with the cigarette lighter in his hand. Riley continued to rapidly type on the colorful keyboard as she sat in the rotating chair with her assistant. Not yet, Yamaki. Sir, oh wait, I think I found something, Riley said. What? Pull it up on the main screen, the blonde man ordered. Hi, Riley replied, and then after typing a few more keys, the school profile of Naruto along with a full body picture was shown. His name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. He lives on Karyu Street in apartment 5S near to Shinjuku Junior High. He is 5 feet and 4 inches tall, meaning he is average height. Blood type O, blue eyes, spiky blonde hair and 3 whisker-like scars on each cheek, and also from his academic scores he is a bit above average intelligence. However, other than that there's nothing, Riley said, reading Naruto's school profile. Yamaki's eyes narrowed. Look for more and see if you can find any relatives or people who are related to anyone by the name of Uzumaki or Namikaze. Odd names for this boy to have, Yamaki commented. Riley typed away, and then she typed in the search bar the names Uzumaki and Namikaze. Sir, I've done what you asked, and apparently there are absolutely 0 results on the names Uzumaki and Namikaze, the red-haired computer expert said. Yamaki's eyes widened beneath his dark sunglasses. You're telling me that this boy, if we can even call him that, does not exist? Yamaki roared. Riley nodded. That's pretty much what the conclusion is, or it could be that he is someone else and is under the disguise of Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Perhaps we should have a team monitor his movements 24/7. Riley suggested. The blonde programmer of Yugoth nodded. That sounds like a decent plan. Okay, contact the scouts and send them out ... and if that wild one that's with him proves to be a threat like the others, put it down, Yamaki said. Riley nodded and began typing away on the computer. With Naruto and Dorumon, the reddish-violet Digivice-wielding tamer walked through the streets with Dorumon. People kept glancing at Dorumon as they walked past the duo, because even though they thought that the dragon-looking creature was a boy in a costume, they couldn't help but think that this was a real dragon in their minds. So Naruto, where should we go? Dorumon asked. Maybe we could go by Gilman and say hi, Naruto said. The two liked the idea of seeing their friend again and headed for Shinjuku Park. As the two walked through the streets towards the park, they were unaware of the many eyes that watched their every move. Many men and women dressed in black outfits with bulletproof vests over their chests spied the duo from the rooftops. One of them took out a pair of binoculars and watched as Naruto and Dorumon walked through the crowd. This is Gold Leader, the man said into the microphone in his ear. The targets are moving towards Shinjuku Park. Remember to stay low and do not make contact with the targets unless necessary. Roger that, Gold Leader. The voices of the other Hypnos scouts responded using their communication links. The scouts then silently jumped from rooftop to rooftop, having great experience in the area of what they called roof traveling. As the scouts, like shadows, moved silently and swiftly after Naruto and Dorumon, Dorumon had been looking at the people who were staring at him. Naruto, people are starting to stare at me, Dorumon murmured. The purple-furred dragon tried desperately to look ahead and avoid the looks, but his eyes ever so often wandered to the side and spied people looking at him oddly. It's okay, Dorumon. As long as they think you're some kid in a Digimon costume, they won't suspect a thing. After all, at least they are not running from you, Naruto said. And trust me, those looks could be a lot worse. The blonde Jinchuriki thought, shuddering slightly at the memory of the glares he received from the villagers in Konoha. Dorumon then detected a scent in the air as the wind shifted direction. Dorumon's senses suddenly heightened at this revelation, and then the Digimon, out of the corner of his eyes, looked up at the roofs and noticed shadows of humans moving in their direction. Naruto, Dorumon said. Naruto smirked down at his partner. I know, buddy. I know, Naruto said. He suddenly had a slight case of deja vu as he remembered Kakashi telling Team 7 something similar when they encountered the Demon Brothers on the mission to Wave Country. The duo arrived at the park, and then the blonde glanced to his left and his right. He noticed the shadows of figures in the trees. Their camouflage was good, but Naruto had the ability to scan his surroundings, and along with heightened senses, let's just say the secret scouts were no longer secret. So you wanna play hide and seek? Then let's play, Naruto said with a foxy grin. Naruto, what are you thinking in that evil, yet genius mind of yours? Dorumon asked. Thinking that we should play hide and seek, my young Digimon, Naruto said with a smirk. Dorumon noticed the emphasis on hide and seek and got the hint. Sugoi, where should we hide? A wise man once said, the best place to hide is to hide in plain sight, Naruto said, and then grabbed Dorumon before channeling chakra into his feet, and Naruto ran into the trees, far from the scouts. One scout said, Gold Leader, what should we do? We find and pursue the target, Gold Leader said. Understood, the scout replied before they all took out their heat vision goggles and then looked through the foliage before spotting the heat signature of a spiky-haired individual. Gold Leader chuckled. We got him. Let's move out, boys. There were a few coughs from the microphone in Gold Leader's ear, causing the man to sigh. And girls, move out. Hi, the scouts then quickly gave chase as they ran along the ground through the foliage of the park. Naruto looked back and heard the sound of boots on dirt. They're better than I thought. But let's see them handle this, Naruto said as he allowed Dorumon to ride piggyback. Oh dear Kami-sama, Dorumon, you need to stop eating all those breads and cakes from Takato's bakery, Naruto said as he formed a cross-shaped hand sign. Well, excuse me for gaining weight, Dorumon said. Kagebenshin no jutsu, Naruto said, and then 6 clones formed. 3 of them then changed into perfect copies of Dorumon. Okay, we're splitting up into 4 teams. Stealth training just like back home. Okay boys, move out, Naruto commanded his clones. Hi, Naruto Teichu, the clones replied, and then 4 teams of Narutos and Dorumons split up. The scouts were too far away for them to see this act before they took off in all available directions away from the scouts. Okay boys and girls, we will search this whole park if we have to. Find that boy, Gold Leader said. The other scouts nodded before splitting up and going in the direction that Gold Leader had said. Their respective duo of the blonde and the Digimon went. However, the real Naruto was watching from high up in a tree as he watched the scouts look for his 4 groups of clones. Before he had jumped into the trees and temporarily lost the scouts, he had formed 2 clones and immediately went with the original Dorumon and hid in the tree that they were in right now. Naruto and Dorumon smirked at each other. Bakas, they said simultaneously. So how long should I wait before dispelling the Kagebenshins? Naruto asked. We don't want to get found out, Dorumon suggested. Naruto smiled down at his partner. However, as the duo were about to escape, there was the sound of an object moving through the air that met Naruto's ears. Naruto gritted his teeth as he quickly drew a kunai and threw it. The kunai sliced the paralyzing dart that was aimed for him in half before lodging itself in the hole of the dart gun that the sniper was holding and made it useless as the kunai was laced with wind chakra and sliced the gun, mostly in half. Thank Kami for having Kyuubi teach me about my elemental affinity, the blonde thought. Come on Dorumon, we have to get out of here, Naruto said. Dorumon nodded and then jumped onto Naruto's back, and then the blonde jumped out of his tree and ran along the dirt path to who knows where in the park. Plan has failed, Gold Leader. The subjects are heading eastbound towards another area of the park. I am in pursuit, the sniper scout said as he reholstered his dart gun. Roger that, Sniper 1, Gold Leader replied through his microphone. Naruto looked back as he and Dorumon ran along the dirt path. Naruto had set Dorumon down after a few minutes of running, and then the pair stopped to rest. Dear Kami-sama, those scouts don't stop, do they? The blonde asked his digital partner. The young Digimon nodded to his tamer. Yeah, but we won't be able to do much of anything now that we know we're being tailed. Probably going to be monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Dorumon said. Naruto groaned in frustration. Well, come on, we can't waste time now. Those guys are experts in tracking down people as well as pursuit, and it also seems some have extreme stealth and sniper skills, Naruto said. The dragon Digimon nodded, and then he and his tamer rose to their feet and took off down the path through the park. However, as they were running, they saw a large gate. Come on, we have to jump that gate, Naruto said. Dorumon nodded and then opened his mouth and then aimed downwards. Metal shoot. Dorumon yelled, and then a metal sphere shot out of Dorumon's mouth, and the recoil of the sphere being fired sent Dorumon upwards. Naruto jumped, pumping chakra into his feet, and grabbed his Digimon partner before flipping over the gate and over to the other side, not reading the large sign on the gate. The sign read as follows. Warning. This area of Shinjuku has been closed due to recent sightings of large monsters. Civilians are required to remain far from this district. The scouts ran up the path a few minutes later and stopped at the gate. Gold Leader looked at the sign on the gate and looked back to his scouts. Sir, what do we do? Our weapons aren't very effective against wild ones. Should we go after them? A female scout asked. Gold Leader held up his hand, signaling them to wait as he tapped the microphone in his ear. Hypnos HQ. Imaki was playing with his cigarette lighter as he waited for progress on the scouts' search and observe mission. Riley then noticed one of her keys beeping and then types the flashing indigo button on her keyboard. Sir, there's an incoming transmission from Gold Leader, Riley said. The blonde leader of Hypnos nodded. Patch them through the shades wearing man said. A small box with a horizontal neon green line appeared on the main screen, an audio screen in which the line would rise and fall above its undisturbed position as someone spoke. Sir, this is Gold Leader said. Hi, so how is the mission going? Were you able to get him with the paralysis darts? Yamaki asked. No sir. The sniper said how that the boy appears to have hyperactive senses since no one would have been able to avoid the darts. He also had extreme physical capabilities and the ability to form copies of himself, Gold Leader reported. I see. Well, where is he now? Yamaki asked. He's in the restricted area of Shinjuku Park where wild ones were said to be popping up, Gold Leader said. Well, go after him, the blonde man growled. Sir, with all due respect, are you insane? Our weapons, which consist of only a small shotgun and a dart gun, have been shown to be ineffective against wild ones. Gold Leader exclaimed. Yamaki gritted his teeth. I don't fucking care. I want the information on that boy, and if you don't get it, I'll just find someone who is willing to, Yamaki said, and then cut the transmission before Gold Leader could reply. Riley looked at her boss with a sad, but confused look. Sir, why are you having the scouts go into the wild one zone? Those wild ones are extremely dangerous and... Riley halted her sentence as there was a beeping on the screen. A large red dot was shown on the screen appearing in the middle of the streets of Shinjuku. Sir, there is a wild one that is about to bio-emerge, Riley said. Yamaki nodded. Deploy Yugoth, he said. Riley nodded and then typed a few keys along with her assistant and then pressed a green button. Yugoth is deployed, Riley said. Streets of Shinjuku. As people were driving through the streets of Shinjuku, Henry watched from the crossover that allowed pedestrians to cross the street without really having to cross the street per se. Henry then looked on and noticed a thick fog developing over the streets. If he had been in a car, he would have noticed the people's radios, cell phones and GPS units all starting to shut down or go haywire. The traffic lights froze as well as the pedestrian electronic street crossing sign. Henry, what are you staring at? Terrierman asked as the Digimon sat atop his tamer's head. Then Terrierman's ears perked up as the digital field formed. There's a Digimon down there, the bunny dog Digimon said. Henry's eyes widened. Are you sure? Henry asked. As sure as I have long ears, Terrierman said. Then let's go, the blue-haired tamer said, and then he ran down the steps to the other side of the streets where the majority of the digital field formed. However, as the duo reached the end of the street, the digital field began to dissipate and everything turned back to normal. It seems that something stopped the Digimon from appearing, Terrierman observed. Apparently, Henry said. Hypnos HQ. Sir, Yugoth is successful. The wild one has been terminated, Riley said. Yamaki nodded. Set up a link with Gold Team now, Yamaki ordered. Riley complied and then hit a glowing indigo key on her colorful keyboard. The voice box appeared on the main screen. So have you found the boy yet? Yamaki asked Gold Leader. Gold Leader coughed. That's a negative, sir. We were a bit sidetracked when we were chasing his clones and the clones dispelled somehow and he outran us to the gate. We're in the restricted area, but we lost him, sir, Gold Leader explained. Yamaki sighed. Alright, come back to HQ. I'm going to have to talk to Naruto face to face, Yamaki said, but that's for another time. Hi, Yamaki, Sir, Gold Leader said and then cut off his communication. Yamaki growled. That boy Naruto is a slippery little bugger. I need to get him unconscious so the lab techs can analyze him and see who he is. I can assure he's not a wild one because if wild ones has powers over the elements, they would do it without the use of those strange hand signs that Naruto makes, Yamaki thought. Then there was a beeping on the holographic image of Shinjuku. Sir, there's another wild one, Riley said. Deploy Yugoth again, Yamaki commanded his red-haired co-worker. Riley nodded and then typed a few keys before pressing enter. 3 circles connected by lines in a triangular formation appeared on the screen to represent Yugoth. However, before Yugoth could reach the red dot that represented the wild one, Yugoth looked like it was slashed at before exploding into digital residue and dissolving. Nani? Riley exclaimed. Riley, what happened? The shades-wearing man asked. Sir, I don't know how, but Yugoth was destroyed before making contact with the wild one. Its bio emerging in T-10 seconds, Riley explained. The blonde Hypnos director growled to himself. What the hell is going on? He thought as he slammed his cigarette lighter on the ground out of frustration. The program was flawless, with Naruto and Dorumon. Naruto and Dorumon were still running through the restricted area of Shinjuku Park, of course due to not taking the time to read the sign that warned them. They had no idea that it was restricted. Naruto then stopped and let Dorumon off his back. Now I know why Kalumon likes to ride on your head. That was fun, Dorumon said. Naruto panted and glared. Fuck you. I am not a pack mule, you digital ass, the blonde tamer growled. Who are you calling a digital ass, you fucking piece of shinobi shit? The purple-furred dragon retorted. Naruto and Dorumon then growled at each other before they heard a twig snap. The two turned around and saw nothing. It was then that a dense fog appeared and then Naruto D-Arc began beeping. Piece of junk, the Digivice is going crazy. It says there are digital signals all over the place, Naruto said. Dorumon sniffed the air and his eyes widened. Naruto, you might want to look behind you. Naruto looked at his Digimon partner with a confused expression before turning around, his eyes and mouth wide open in shock. Standing behind him was a large Digimon. It looked like a large dog of some kind that was covered in black armor, but its neck and tail, which were visible, were blue with white on the underside. It had a long yellow horn in the shape of a lightning bolt and 3 black lightning-shaped spikes coming from its back. Oh look, a human and his Digimon, the unknown dog-like Digimon said with amusement. Naruto took out his D-Arc and looked as an image of the Digimon came up. Raidramon, armor level Digimon. He is the Digivolve form of Vemon when combined with the powers from the Digi Egg of Friendship. His attacks are Thunder Blast, Lightning Blade and Electric Bite, Naruto said as he looked at the large black Digimon. Hey guys, we got a live one, another Digimon said. This voice came from other parts of the fog. Suddenly loud roars, growls, chirps and whatever sound you could make up were heard as about 5 more Digimon appeared, although they were smaller than the other 3. Get them, the large Digimon said. The smaller Digimon released battle cries before charging Naruto and Dorumon. The duo quickly jumped and flipped over the 5 enemies and looked as Naruto took out his D-Arc and looked at their data. A holographic image of a Digimon that looked like a much shorter version of an Allosaurus, except it was yellow with large green eyes and large forearms with 4 claws, the 4th acting as a thumb. It had sharp teeth and 4 long claws on its feet along with a stubby tail. Okay, we have an Agumon, rookie level vaccine Digimon. His attacks are Pepper Breath, Claw Attack and Spitfire, Naruto read, and then another image came up. This one was a yellow reptile Digimon with blue, purple striped fur over its body and had a long yellow horn with a blue stomach which had a pink symbol on it. Next is Gabumon, another rookie level, because it is wearing the fur pelt of Garurumon, who is feared by other Digimon. It fills the role of safeguarding itself as a result of protecting its body. Its attacks are Blue Blaster and Horn Attack. An image of a blue reptile Digimon appeared with zigzag-shaped ears and tail with crimson-colored eyes and a yellow V on its forehead and beneath its eyes. Then there's Vemon, another rookie type who is said to bring good luck to anyone who finds it. I find that ironic his attacks are V Headbutt and V Punch, Naruto read as he scanned the other 2. God, why is there so many of them? Naruto groaned as the 4th of the 5 Digimon appeared on the D-Arc's screen. Next is Falcomon, a rookie Digimon whose wings aren't fully developed due to living in the mountains, but has extremely strong legs. Its attacks are Scratch Smash and Falco Rush. And finally, Naruto watched as the last rookie appeared on the screen, which looked like an oversized pink and white bunny with a large gray stripe along its back and a gray diamond and whisker marks on its pink-colored forehead. Rabbitmon, an armor-leveled Digimon who attacks his opponents swiftly using Carrot Bomber and ear-flapping attacks. So, I'm guessing we have a lot of time on our hands, then Dorumon guessed. Naruto shrugged. Think of them as training dummies. Think you can handle them on your own, Naruto told his partner. The purple dragon nodded before smirking as he saw the enemies run towards them. Bring it on, the ex-antibody holder said with confidence, and then the experienced rookie took off towards the 5 enemy Digimon. Pepper Breath, Agumon yelled, and then a large ball of yellow and red flame flew from its mouth. Dorumon quickly jumped over the fireball and then landed in front of Agumon and then slashed the Digimon across its chest and then spun on his heel and slammed his tail against the side of Agumon, sending the yellow Digimon to the ground. Then Dorumon grabbed Agumon and threw him into the incoming Gabumon before opening his mouth. Metal Shoot, Dorumon roared before 5 metal spheres came from his open maw and slammed against Agumon. The purple dragon then raced towards his fellow rookie level before grabbing Agumon by his throat with his clawed forearm and threw the dinosaur upwards before jumping after his target. Dorumon performed a series of slashes which caused Agumon to howl in pain before Dorumon opened his jaws. Dino Tooth, the ex-antibody holder roared before clamping his jaws down on the Digimon's neck. Dorumon then released Agumon before grabbing the yellow Digimon, and then the 2 plummeted towards the ground. Dorumon glared at the green-eyed rookie before making it so that as the 2 fell, Agumon would be the first one to hit the ground as Dorumon positioned Agumon below him. Agumon hit the ground with a devastating boom which caused a small crater to form and also causing Agumon to disperse into red data. Gabumon then shook its head as it recovered from Agumon being tossed at it. Gabumon growled before opening his mouth and a blue stream of what looked like fire was launched at Dorumon. Blue Blaster, Gabumon yelled. Dorumon ducked and rolled under the attack and then raced towards Gabumon and tackled the Digimon down to the ground with a cry of dash metal. Gabumon fell to the ground before rolling out of the way as Dorumon used Metal Shoot. V-Punch. The blue reptile Digimon yelled and then Vemon slammed a powerful punch against Dorumon's back. But the purple dragon rolled along the ground and got back onto his feet before performing a backflip over a blue blaster attack from Gabumon. A large amount of orange explosions suddenly clouded Dorumon's vision as Rabbitman began using Carrot Bomber. Dorumon growled before jumping high up into the air and out of the range of the explosions before spying the armor Digimon. Hyper Dash Metal. Dorumon cried and then descended upon the pink rabbit Digimon, which jumped out of the way as Dorumon created a crater in the ground from where he landed. However, there was Screech to his left and Dorumon was fast enough to catch the attempted attack on his face from Falcomon. Dorumon planted his knee into Falcomon's stomach, making the Digimon gasp from the wind being knocked out of its lungs. Dorumon then spun on his heel and his tail slapped Falcomon to the ground before Dorumon slashed at the downed Digimon with his claws. Falcomon screeched in pain, but before the dragon could finish the job, Blue Blaster, the pre-Digivolve form of Garurumon, fired its attack and struck Dorumon, sending the Digimon to one knee. But he backflipped over the following Blue Blaster and then decided to take down Gabumon. V-Headbutt. Vemon yelled and then the wild Digimon raced towards Dorumon. But Dorumon quickly slid to the side and grabbed Vemon with his teeth before bringing the blue reptile Digimon to the ground. Dorumon jumped into the air and opened his mouth. Metal Shoot. The multiple metal spheres impacted with Vemon's body, making the Digimon cry out in pain. Then Dorumon's eyes' rounded pupils became slitted as Dorumon landed on Vemon with a yell of dash metal. Naruto winced. "Oh, that's gotta hurt," the blonde said as he saw Dorumon walk out of the cloud of red data that used to be Vemon. Then he ran towards Gabumon and avoided a horn attack from the other rookie Digimon before he looked out of the corner of his eyes and spied Rabbitman aiming a carrot bomb at him. The pink-colored bunny threw the carrot-shaped explosive. "Carrot Bomber," Rabbitman cried, but Dorumon smirked as he looked at it head towards him. Dorumon jumped and then spun in the air and his tail slammed against the bomb and sent it right back at its user. Rabbitman's ears, which were usually perked up, dropped down and a look of fear filled his eyes. "Oh," was all Rabbitman could say before the attack met his body and blew up in a cloud of orange smoke and red flakes of data. Dorumon looked to see Falcomon and Gabumon were the only ones left. Dorumon made a come motion with his claw and then the two remaining Digimon raced towards Dorumon. Falcomon aimed a slash at Dorumon's face, but the dragon Digimon dodged and then spun on his heel before dodging a blue blaster from Gabumon. The orange-eyed rookie raced towards Gabumon and then opened his mouth. Metal Shoot. Dorumon yelled and multiple metal orbs flew out of Dorumon's mouth. Gabumon dodged them all before racing towards Dorumon with his head bent low to expose his horn attack. Horn attack. Gabumon cried out, but Dorumon smirked before stepping to the side to avoid the horn as Gabumon neared him and then opened his mouth. Dino Tooth. The violet-furred dragon opened his mouth and bit down on Gabumon's horn. A loud snap was heard as Dorumon's teeth bit off the horn. Dorumon then performed dash metal and slammed full force against Gabumon before firing a metal shoot attack at point blank and thus caused Gabumon to be reduced to red flakes of data. "Looks like it's down to you and me," Falcomon Dorumon said. "So it seems," Falcomon said as it shifted into a fighting stance. Dorumon twisted his neck, causing it to crack loudly before racing towards Falcomon. Falcomon let out a screech before going towards Dorumon. The two met in a flurry of blows. Dorumon's slashes met Falcomon's punches before the two separated. Falco Rush. The bird-looking Digimon screeched before rushing Dorumon with the aura of a falcon surrounding him. Dorumon dodged and backflipped to gain some more distance between himself and his opponent. Metal Shoot. Dorumon roared and then 10 metal spheres rocketed out of Dorumon's open maw at unbelievable speeds. Falcomon managed to dodge the first 8, but the 9th struck the bird Digimon in its face and the 2nd in its stomach. Falcomon fell to the ground, but then Dorumon grabbed the downed Digimon and swung it into a tree before racing towards Falcomon. Hyper Dash Metal. The ex-antibody dragon roared before jumping into the air and putting a spin on his slightly aerial attack, making him look like a violet and white drill. Falcomon groaned as it stood to its feet before its eyes widened before Dorumon slammed headfirst against Falcomon, sending the Digimon through the tree he was just leaning against, and then into a nearby boulder before turning into data. Dorumon panted in exhaustion before turning to Naruto and giving an attempt at a thumbs up. Naruto nodded in approval before the purple dragon ran back towards his tamer. Raidrumon looked around at the destruction that the battle had caused. Many areas were singed, a few craters here and there, and then the tree and boulder which Falcomon had went through when it died. The armored Digimon turned to Naruto and Dorumon as they celebrated their victory. Raidromon was about to speak when the armored Digimon began to shudder. His originally red eyes suddenly glowed, and then, like how Sasuke's curse seal spread in a fire-like pattern, a sky blue color spread across Raidromon's eyes before mixing with the red and forming a deep violet color. A purple aura formed around Raidromon before it turned to look at the duo as the aura vanished. Digimon Tamer and Digimon Partner. Raidromon called out in a deep voice. The blonde Tamer and his partner turned to see Raidromon stalking towards them. "Hi, Raidromon." The two replied to the great beast of lightning. "You two have defeated my minions, but now it is time for the true test that my master has brought upon you specifically." "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze," Raidromon said as the large Digimon went into a crouching stance, meaning it was about to attack. Naruto's eyes had widened as the large armored Digimon had mentioned him by name. The blue-eyed shinobi quickly swiped a card through his D-arc. "Digimodify, Anjuman's Heaven's Charm." The spiky-haired blonde yelled. A rainbow aura surrounded Dorumon, who was previously exhausted from fighting. But due to the Heaven's Charm, he was healed and ready to fight again. The shinobi then stood next to his Digimon and the two slid into fighting stances. The sky suddenly became dark as cumulonimbus clouds formed, obscuring the sky's original blue color. Wind blew roughly and then a large blue lightning bolt fell from the sky and struck Raidromon's golden horn. A flash of light formed and Dorumon and Naruto were forced to cover their eyes. When the light died down, Naruto and Dorumon looked to see Raidromon was coated with blue sparks of electricity, and then there a slight violet aura around the armored Digimon. "Now then, prepare yourself, Naruto and Dorumon." Raidromon jumped forth and the duo prepared for battle against this new foe. With Henry and Terriermon. Henry and Terriermon were down by the electronic pedestrian crossing observing as the digital field, which ordinary people saw as a thick cloud of fog, formed for the second time. Henry and Terriermon looked at each other before turning upon hearing a voice. "Oi, Henry," Takato called out as he and Gilman, who people thought was a guy in a Digimon costume, walked up to the other tamer duo. "Oh, hey Takato, are you here because you saw the digital field?" Henry asked. "Well, not originally. My original plan was to go and see Calumen at school since Naruto wanted me to keep an eye on him for the day. But Calumen could wait," the red D-arc wielding tamer said. A circle then formed in the center of the digital field before a large geyser-like stream of data burst forth. A figure jumped out of the stream of data before it died down. The Digimon was a humanoid-looking Digimon with purple skin and wore a black vest over its chest with a pair of torn-up brown pants with a dark brown sash wrapped around its waist. Over its entire body, minus the right forearm and left shin, red samurai armor was worn and a similar colored helmet with a golden-colored dragon on the helmet. Its left foot was a large three-toed monster with 3 red claws on the foot, and its right was worn with a purple sock and a sandal. In its right hand was a large sword which it held at the ready. Takato took out his D-arc and watched as the holographic image of the Digimon formed. Musyamon, a champion-level Digimon. He was said to be born from a video game and supposedly has shapeshifting powers. His opponents meet a fiery end with his Shogun sword and ninja blade attacks, Takato said, reading the information from the Digivice before the image disappeared. "Okay Gilman, let's show this samurai how we do it," Takato said. Gilman nodded and then rushed Musyamon. The samurai Digimon looked at Gilman before grabbing the dinosaur Digimon's face and slamming Gilman into the ground before kicking him backwards. "Gilman," Takato yelled in shock, "are you okay?" "Yeah," Gilman said, shaking his head. "Henry, come on, we gotta help Gilman," Terriermon exclaimed. "No way, Terriermon, there must be another way," the blue-haired tamer said. Gilman coated his claws with fire and slashed at Musyamon. "Rock breaker," Gilman roared before slashing at Musyamon's waist. But the champion Digimon raised his sword and blocked the attack before spinning the blade and redirecting the attack before slamming the blunt edge of the sword against Gilman's head before kicking the dinosaur Digimon away. The enemy Digimon's sword was then surrounded by blue flames and then Musyamon aimed a slash at the virus dinosaur. "White bird," Musyamon said and slashed with his burning blade, the sword's flames taking on the image of a bird's wing. However, Gilman rolled out of the way before opening his mouth. A sphere of red formed in Gilman's jaws. "Pyrosphere," Gilman shouted, and then the attack crashed into Musyamon and sent the Digimon skidding backwards. Musyamon growled in anger before his sword was surrounded by large orange flames. "Insolent Digimon, prepare to be defeated." Shogun sword. Musyamon slashed his blade downwards and the flames rocketed from the tip of the samurai Digimon's sharp blade before changing into the shape of a dragon. Takato quickly took out a modification card and held the D-arc over his head. "Digimodify, Hyper Wing activate," the goggle-wearing preteen yelled while swiping the card. Gilman then grew 6 silvery wings before taking to the skies and avoiding the attack. Pyrosphere. Gilman countered with his fire-based attack, but Musyamon dodged them all before jumping and slashing at Gilman, knocking the rookie Digimon to the ground. Gilman groaned in pain as Musyamon landed a few feet away from the red dinosaur Digimon. Henry, Gilman's getting throttled out there, you have to let me fight, Terrierman said. Henry thought about the time when Terrierman became Gargamon and went out of control. What if that happens again? I'd be putting people's lives at risk, Henry said. Meanwhile, outside the digital field, a young girl was watching the digital field until her orange-colored balloon flew out of her hand and into the fog. The little girl ran after it, but froze in fear when she saw Musyamon standing in front of her. Musyamon glared at the small female before raising his sword. Hey, little girl, get out of there, Takato yelled. Gilman had gotten up and jumped up to catch the balloon and succeeded. But Gilman was too far to stop Musyamon as the samurai Digimon readied his attack. Terrierman growled in anger. Henry, I don't care anymore. I'm not letting that little girl get hurt, Terrierman said. Henry's eyes widened. No, Terrierman. A bright light suddenly formed from Henry's green-colored D-arc. Caluman was watching the entire thing from right near the edge of the digital field, and the red triangle in the middle of his head glowed. Digivolution. Terrierman was surrounded by an egg of swirling green data. Terrierman digivolved too. Terrierman's skin peeled away to reveal a large green rabbit covered in wireframe pattern, or blue squares for a simpler term. The skin then reattached itself as Terrierman's body grew into that of a larger rabbit. His face and ears were entirely green. The edge of the ears, the body and muzzle of Gargamon being a tan color. A red diamond lay in the center of the champion level's forehead. 2 red slash-like marking were on Gargamon's cheeks. His hands were replaced with Gatling guns. A string of ammunition was strapped across the Trigger Happy Bunny's chest, and he wore a pair of navy blue jeans. Gargamon then jumped and kicked the red-armored Digimon away from the little girl. Musyamon growled before coating his blade with orange flames. Shogun Sword. Musyamon sent the large fire dragon at the now digivolved champion Digimon. Gargamon quickly backflipped, and then the dragon followed after Gargamon before Gargamon held out his Gatling guns. Gargo Laser. Then multiple green bullets rapidly flew from the guns, and the rotators in the guns spun. The bullets stopped the dragon of flame before the large rabbit landed on the ground and raced towards Musyamon. Musyamon roared before slashing at Gargamon, but the enlarged Trigger Happy Bunny, using his extreme reflexes and speed, dodged all the attacks before spinning on his heel and kicked Musyamon in the stomach. Then the Gatling guns on Gargamon's hands began to rotate rapidly as the bullet holes began glowing. Bunny Pummel. Gargamon planted a powerful punch to Musyamon's gut, followed by rapid punch to the torso and solar plexus before tripping the samurai Digimon's feet out from under him, and then performed an uppercut sending the Digimon upwards. Gargamon jumped after his opponent and performed a front flip, and an axe kick found its way into Musyamon's face. As Musyamon hit the ground, Gargamon pointed his guns down at the enemy Digimon and fired. Gargo Laser. And then multiple energy bullet flew from the Gatling guns and impacted with Musyamon, causing a small explosion and turning Musyamon into flakes of red data. Gargamon landed on the ground and performed a bow. After the battle, Caluman spread his ears and with a giggle flew away. That was fun, the light of Digivolution thought. Now where are those cream puffs? I like the cream puffs that some nice lady dropped for me. Don't doubt me again, Henry, the Trigger Happy Bunny said with a smile. Henry looked in awe at Gargamon. You controlled yourself, he whispered. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Anyways, we gotta get this little girl back to her mommy, Gargamon said. Gilman quickly ran over to the little girl as the digital field began to disappear. Gilman handed the child her balloon before the group of 4 ran away. Mommy, look at the Digimon over there. Aren't they nice? The little girl asked. The little girl's mother looked down at her daughter before looking at the streets where people were busy crossing and saw no Digimon. Oh, they are very beautiful, sweetheart. Now where was I? The mother then returned to her cell phone conversation. The 4 then stopped as they reached back to the hideout where Gilman stayed and realized Gargamon was still well. Gargamon. Huso, Naruto has the data extraction card to help us to digivolve Gargamon, Henry said. Don't worry, Henry, I'm sure we can figure something out, Gargamon said, and then stood on his head using his ears. Gilman looked confused and then tried it too. Takatoman, look, I'm standing on my hands, Gilman said in excitement before falling over. And now I'm not. Uo. It helps if you're cheating, Gargamon said as he stood on his ears and leaned up against a tree outside Gilman's hideout. With Rika, the fiery-haired girl was leaning against a large concrete support beam for the overhead walkway, her head bobbing back and forth as she listened to some heavy metal music. However, there was a vibration in her pocket, and then a large compass formed as her D-arc detected the signal of a Digimon. Renaman, let's go, Rika said. Renaman, who was standing unnoticed in a tree, nodded, and the 2 followed the direction of the digital signal. Back with Naruto. Naruto and Dorumon were still dodging attack from Raidramon. Lightning bolts were striking the ground as Raidramon continuously attacked them. Lightning blade. Raidramon yelled again as a blue lightning bolt flew from the jagged horn on the Digimon's snout. Dorumon and Naruto quickly separated, and then Naruto threw a kunai, but the weapon bounced off of Raidramon's thick armor. Dorumon opened his mouth. Metal shoot. Dorumon yelled and multiple spheres of steel launched themselves from Dorumon's mouth. Raidramon quickly jumped over the attacks and landed on the grass. "You pathetic tamer, you're not worthy to be fighting," Raidramon said as the storm clouds above began to swirl in a circular motion. A large bolt of blue lightning struck Raidramon's horn before rocketing towards Dorumon. Thunder blast. Raidramon roared as the attack neared the dragon rookie Digimon. Naruto quickly drew a card and swiped it through his D-Arc. Digimodify, Holy Barrier activate. Naruto yelled. A large golden barrier formed in front of Dorumon and took the attack before disappearing as the thunder blast stopped. Dorumon and Naruto then rushed Raidramon. Naruto aimed a chakra-enhanced punch and struck the Digimon in its face before turning, and his chakra-enhanced leg found its way to the digital monster's jaw and sent it skidding to the side. Dorumon then appeared beneath Raidramon and growled. Dash metal. The purple dragon collided his now steel-hard head with Raidramon's chest, sending the larger Digimon a few feet off the ground. Naruto then formed a cross-shaped hand sign. Kagebenshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto yelled and then 4 clones puffed into existence before they all crashed their fists against Raidramon's side. The armored Digimon flew through the air, but steadied itself and managed to land on its feet. Raidramon growled before opening its jaws, and yellow sparks of electricity surrounded its sharp teeth. The Digimon ran towards Naruto and the clones, but as the clones went to protect their creator, Raidramon called the name of its attack. Electric Bite. The teeth of the beast of friendship and electricity clamped down on one clone and caused it to die. Another avoided the bit, but Raidramon jumped the attempted slide tackle from another Kagebenshin before slamming its full body weight on top the clone and then twisting to avoid a punch from the clone that dodged before biting the clone's arm, and sent thousands of volts of electricity through the Kagebenshin's body before facing the last clone. The final clone chuckled nervously and backed away slightly. Nice doggy. The clone tried an attempt of calming down the large dog Digimon. Raidramon roared and then a blue bolt of lightning flew from its lightning bolt-shaped horn. Lightning blade. The attack struck the clone and dispelled it. However, since the large Digimon was too busy with the clones, it didn't notice Naruto and Dorumon sneaking around to attack from its behind. Naruto then ran forwards and his hands made the hand sign for Tora, tiger. "Take this, you overgrown puppy," Naruto roared. Raidramon was caught off guard as Naruto ran towards its ass before thrusting his finger forward. 1,000 years of death. Naruto cried as he shoved his fingers up Raidramon's ass, causing the Digimon to yelp in pain and take to the skies. "Now Dorumon," Naruto commanded. "I can't believe that retarded attack worked," Dorumon thought before continuing with Naruto's plan. Dorumon jumped and then opened his mouth and fired several metal spheres. Metal shoot. The attacks colliding head-on with Raidramon before the dog Digimon landed on the ground, creating a small crater. Dorumon landed on the ground and held his claws to Raidramon's unarmored throat. "Yield," the purple dragon Digimon stated. Raidramon chuckled as the violet aura returned and then sent a blast of purple lightning from his horn. Dark lightning. Raidramon yelled and then the purple lightning bolt struck Dorumon, sending the Digimon back and would have collided with the ground had Naruto not caught him. Dark lightning. But Raidramon is not supposed to know an attack like that, Naruto said as he looked at his D-Arc's information on Raidramon again before seeing Raidramon stand to its feet. Raidramon howled before running towards the duo. Naruto quickly prepared to fight off the beast until he heard a familiar voice. Diamond Storm. A flurry of diamond-shaped light particles flew towards Raidramon and then struck the Digimon and stopped it in order to see what the fuck was hitting him with such a pathetic attack that it didn't even pierce through its armor. Then it saw Rika and Renamon standing there ready to fight. "This does not concern you, mortal," Raidramon said as the purple aura formed again. Dark lightning. Raidramon roared and the violet bolt rocketed towards the female duo had Renamon not grabbed Rika in time and took her out of harm's way. The fox Digimon landed near Naruto and rested Rika down. "Are you okay, Rika?" Renamon asked. "Hi, but what the hell was that?" Rika asked as she looked at the small crater where the attack had landed. "Rika, what the hell are you doing here?" Naruto yelled. "Told you we would run into Rika later on," Dorumon mumbled as he stood to his feet. "Urusai, Dorumon," Naruto growled. "I'm here to take down that Raidramon. Why the F are you here?" Rika asked. "To kill Raidramon," Naruto replied. "Why is everyone yelling?" Dorumon screamed. Everyone turned to look at the purple dragon Digimon and sweat dropped. Really? Why? He asked again. I don't know. However, Raidromon had had enough of the talking and fired a blast of lightning that flew from his horn as it previously came from the storm clouds above the digital field. Thunder blast. The black armored beast yelled. The attack neared the group, but Naruto drew a card. Dorumon, get in front of the others, the blonde ordered. Dorumon nodded and then went to the front. Digimodify, Holy Barrier activate. Naruto yelled as he swiped the card. The large golden barrier was then erected once more before shattering as the attack crashed into the shield. The shockwave sent everyone skidding backwards, except for Rika, who fell to the ground. Rika stood up and growled at Raidromon. Digimodify, Speed activate. Rika said, swiping the card. Let's go for a run, big boy, Rainamon said with a sensual tone before racing towards Raidromon. Tower Paw. The golden-furred fox yelled, and then the flame-covered fists of Rainamon crashed down on Raidromon. But the attack didn't faze the beast one bit before it roared and a shockwave of lightning pushed Rainamon back. Rainamon flew through the air, but backflipped and landed on her feet. What the hell is wrong with it? Rainamon asked. I'm trying to figure that out myself, Naruto thought. Naruto, Uzumaki Namikaze, I will destroy in the name of my master. Raidromon roared before a large twister of blue and purple lightning formed around Raidromon. Dark Storm Blast. Raidromon roared and then a large pulse of violet lightning shot from the body of the armored Digimon. Dorumon and Rainamon quickly jumped over the attack, but Rika didn't have the luxury to be able to jump that high, so Naruto had to save her. He quickly pumped chakra into his legs and grabbed Rika, holding her bridal style, and jumped upwards and flipped in the air before resting her down. You okay? He asked. Rika's face turned red from the blush she had and nodded. Rainamon and Dorumon ran towards Raidromon as the two battled the larger Digimon. What does that Digimon want with you, Whiskers? Rika asked, but Naruto didn't reply as he watched the fight that was occurring. Diamond Storm. Metal Shoot. Diamonds and steel crashed against Raidromon's body, but had no effect. After a many amount of tries to strike Raidromon, they stopped and were both panting. Naruto growled and took out a card. Digimodify, Raidromon's Thunder Blast activate. Naruto yelled, please work, he thought. Dorumon fired a blast of lightning from his mouth and struck the Digimon on its side, earning a cry of pain from Raidromon. Naruto and the others watched as they hoped to see results, but as the smoke cleared from the attacked area of Raidromon's armor, they saw no scratch. What kind of stupid idea was that? Rika asked. Raidromon is a lightning Digimon, and why did you its own attack against it? Because I thought that if outpower wouldn't work against it, maybe its own power would be able to hurt it, Naruto explained. Well, it was a stupid idea, Whiskers, Rika said. Naruto growled. Well, I don't see you having any brainstorms, Miss Ice Queen, Naruto retorted, but that was when the thought struck him. Naruto quickly took out a card from his pack and gazed at it. On the card was a picture of the great Digimon sovereign of the East, the dragon Azulongmon, embodiment of lightning. Naruto watched as Rainamon and Dorumon continued to hold off Raidromon. Dorumon, we have to use the cards, Naruto exclaimed, using the mental link to talk to Dorumon. Dorumon paused a bit and jumped over a dark lightning attack. Sure, here is the text in lowercase. Are you F crazy? Azulongmon said, only to use them in serious situations, Dorumon responded. And this is serious, Naruto said. Naruto then turned to Rika. Rika, call back Rainamon, Naruto said as he put away the card, as he needed to create an opening in Raidromon's defenses to attack with the card. Nani, why? She asked. Just do it, Naruto said. No, Rainamon fights with Dorumon. This is a battle that we can't back down from, Rika said. Naruto glared at her with his sapphire eyes. Do it now, Naruto roared. Rika's eyes widened as she stared at Naruto. In the few days that she had known him, she never expected him to be so demanding, was the only word that came to her mind. Rika glared back at Naruto before sighing. Fine, Rainamon, fall back, Rika yelled. Rainamon's eyes widened. Really, are you sure? Rainamon asked as she avoided a lightning blade attack from the beast of friendship and lightning. Rika nodded and then watched as Rainamon came back. Naruto ran forwards. Naruto quickly jumped and formed a cross-shaped hand sign. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, he yelled, and 3 clones formed. So that's what a shinobi can do, Rika thought. Naruto, she whispered as she saw him run out with his clones. One clone tried to kick Raidromon, but the large dog-looking Digimon dodged the attack before coating its teeth with yellow lightning. Electric bite. Raidromon opened his jaws and aimed to bit the clone. Oh no, not again, Naruto said, and then he and another one of his 3 clones ran up and kicked the Digimon in the jaw, causing its mouth to close before Naruto, and the clone used a chakra-enhanced punch to send the lightning Digimon skyward. Hyper Dash Metal. Dorumon jumped, and with the speed of a bullet and the force of a metal bar, he slammed his head against Raidromon's chest, earning a grunt from the larger Digimon. Dorumon then grabbed Raiderman's neck and with surprising strength hurled Raiderman downwards. A clone then appeared beneath the falling digital monster before forming hand signs. FUNN, Furyuendon no Jutsu, Wind Style, Wind Dragon Blast Jutsu. Naruto yelled. The large wind dragon swirled to life before rising above its falling form and struck Raiderman, and then before it met the ground the original Naruto formed a rasengan and waited beneath the falling Digimon. Naruto, with expert timing, thrust his attack forwards and slammed the ball of spinning chakra against Raiderman's armor. Rasengan. Naruto roared and then the attack clashed against Raiderman's body, sending the large Digimon's body into a boulder. Naruto watched as the Raiderman was suddenly surrounded by a large violet aura of lightning. What the fuck? It keeps getting back up. No time to waste. It looks like it's going to be down to one last attack, Naruto thought. Dorumon jumped in front of Naruto as his clones dispersed. The Digimon and Tamer nodded to each other as Raiderman stood to his full height, and then a large amount of blue lightning with faint shades of violet formed around its horn before the violet became visible to the naked eye. Dark Storm Blast. Raiderman yelled and a large blast of bluish-violet lightning rocketed from Raiderman's horn. Naruto took out the card with Azulongman on it and swiped it. Digimodify, Azulongman's Aurora Force. Naruto yelled as sparks of electricity flew from the card as it was scanned. Dorumon was suddenly surrounded by a large aura of lightning that, for a second, looked like Azulongman. The Dark Storm Blast neared the young rookie Digimon, but then Dorumon's lightning seemed to absorb the attack as it struck him. Raiderman looked in shock as his most powerful attack was stopped. Dorumon growled before letting out a roar. Aurora Force. Dorumon bellowed and then the lightning surrounding him shot up into the sky and most likely out of the digital field before coming back down in the form of a dragon, and the divine force of Azulongman struck Raiderman and caused a large explosion. Raiderman screamed in pain as his body was struck. A vapor of violet, like a virus of some kind, was purged from his body. Raiderman fell to the ground and began to become data. Naruto then ran up to the fallen Digimon and knelt down. What the hell was all that talk about this master you were fighting for? Naruto asked. Raiderman looked at Naruto as his eyes began to change from violet back to red. Raiderman suddenly began to forget as the evil power he was given left him, the master. The name it was in my head the entire time we were fighting young Tamer, his name was Luke. But it was too late, for Raiderman had dispersed into red flakes of data. Naruto looked in shock at what he just heard. What the hell? He said. Who is this master? Naruto asked. Rika ran up to Naruto and looked him over. You did pretty good out there, Whiskers. Where did you get that lightning card anyway? I didn't even hear the name from where I was standing, Rika asked. Naruto pocketed Azulongman's card and looked at the red-haired Tamer. Rika, my past is something that I have shared with you, Takato and Henry and your partners. But this, Naruto said, making reference to the Digimon cards, this is something that you cannot know. It is something that concern only myself and Dorumon, and if you try to go digging around to see what this is, there will be consequences, Rika, Naruto said with a dark tone, and his eyes flashed red to signify his seriousness. Naruto then knelt down and Dorumon climbed on his back. Until next time, Rika-chan, Naruto said with a small smile before performing Shunshin no Jutsu, and he and Dorumon vanished in a swirl of leaves. Rika stared at the spot where Naruto once stood. Renamon picked up the shocked-looking Rika, and as the digital field dispersed it revealed the starlit sky. Renamon took Rika to her home, but along the way Rika could only think one thing. Just what the hell is going on, and why does it concern you and Dorumon? Naruto. Monday morning, 6:30 a.m. Naruto's eyes opened, and instead of seeing the light of the sun he found himself in a dark void of nothingness. However, as he walked and suddenly saw a bright light, Naruto looked around to find himself surrounded by buildings. Buildings that were all too familiar to him. The buildings of Konohagakure no Sato. Naruto growled as he passed through. The people turned and glared at him before they started to follow him and curse at him. What the fuck are you doing here in our village, demon? Get out. No one wants you. No one will ever like you. Naruto turned and his eyes flickered red. Shut the fuck up or I'll kill you, Naruto roared. However, as he said this, many more people joined the crowd, and then the crowd parted to form a path, and Naruto's eyes widened as he saw a mop of pink hair. The green eyes of his former crush glared at him. You bitch, Naruto growled. Naruto suddenly felt his face sting as Sakura slapped him. Shut up, demon, Sakura said. Then all of a sudden Naruto was surrounded, in a circle, by the members of Team 8 and 10 along with Team Guy. You are not one of us, just a blasphemy. I can't believe you actually thought UCC could have been our friend. I've always hated foxes. You'll never be part of the pack. Sasuke-kun will always be a hero. You won't even make it as Hokage, let alone a shinobi. Og, you've been nothing but a troublesome monster. You can't deny your own destiny, Kyuyubai no Kitsune. This is your fate. You'll always be an outcast. Our flames of youth shall snuff your flames of deceit and hatred, foul beast Yash. Naruto gazed in shock as he saw the ones that he still cared for in Konoha verbally assaulting him. No, I still cared for you. You betrayed me. Naruto cried out, but then Sakura smirked evilly before punching him in the face, and then Naruto blacked out. Naruto groaned as he opened his eyes and found himself high above the ground. He looked to see the entire village of Konoha looking up at him with evil smiles of glee as he hung from the crucifix that they had fashioned for him. Sakura smiled as she looked up at him. Fucking beach, he growled. Then he saw Tsunade and his eyes widened. Tsunade Nichan. Naruto gasped. Tsunade unrolled a scroll and read from it. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, you are charged with the crimes of the attempted murder of Sasuke Uchiha as well as endangering your teammates during the mission. For this your punishment is death. Tsunade read before rolling the scroll back up. Naruto then saw Sakura hold up a burning torch and throw it at his crucifix, and it started to burn. Naruto stared in shock before he gritted his teeth in anger. Assholes, he thought as the flames licked his flesh, and then the orange flames skyrocketed and burnt him. However, as orange flames crossed his vision, Naruto found himself once again in the darkness with the orange flames still around him. The flames formed a large wall, and then Naruto stared into the flames to see two black lines. The lines widened and formed a large red iris with a single pupil in it. Then three comma-like markings formed around the dot before the flames fashioned themselves and took on the color of Sasuke's face, the image of his curse seal level 2 form, his detached head floating in the flames. Sasuke, Naruto growled. Sasuke chuckled. Why don't you just embrace your destiny of what you are? Sasuke asked. You are a demon and you will always be. Sasuke then began to chuckle, before his chuckling became louder. Shut up, team, the blonde yelled. But then Sasuke's chuckling turned into full-blown laughter, his sharing and eyes boring into Naruto's sapphire ones, his laughter suddenly becoming deeper in tone and much darker. The Tomo and Sasuke sharing and began to swirl, going around and around before they started to sink into the pupil of his eyes. The large pupil then stopped spitting and then lengthened to form a slitted pupil. The flames around the pair of red eyes changed into the Kyuyubai. The Kyuyubai then grabbed Naruto and chuckled darkly before a sky blue color spread across Kyuyubai's irises, and then Kyuyubai glowed, Naruto still clutched in its iron grip. The glowing stopped before Naruto found himself staring into a large humanoid form made entirely of light with 8 wings flapping behind its back. The light suddenly stopped and Naruto found himself staring face to face with a large boy with 8 wings and wore a white Greek-themed tunic. Golden bands were wrapped around the boy's wrists and ankles, and purple markings were on the boy's chest. The digital hazard symbol emblazoned on the back of his hand. 2 tiny wings flapped on the figure's head as he held Naruto, and the boy's sky blue eyes stared at Naruto's sapphire ones. Release from the prison, please. I need you, Naruto. Help me, the boy said in a pleading tone. Naruto's eyes widened as the gigantic image of the angelic-looking boy held him. Voice. Is that you? Release me from the prison, please, Naruto. You're my only hope. The boy's voice emerged again in the form of the voice Naruto heard from his blue card. Then the boy chuckled, and then a dark flame-like pattern, like Sasuke's curse seal, raced across the boy's body, before changing the boy into a large purple dragon-like behemoth with a golden-colored mask-like face. Release me now, boy. The dragon then opened its mouth and Naruto's vision went dark. Naruto sprung up from his bed gasping. He shook his head and found Dorumon standing there next to him with a cup of ramen in his hand. Dorumon frowned and handed the cup to Naruto, who took it. Arigato, Dorumon, Naruto said, taking the ramen cup. He ate some of the noodles and drank the broth at the same time as he brought the cup to his lips. Naruto, you're starting to worry me. You've been having nightmares since last week Monday, Dorumon said. Naruto frowned. It's nothing but a nightmare, Dorumon. Just let it go. Besides, I'm going on the field trip to the Digimon Gaming Factory, Naruto said with a happy tone. Dorumon stared before smirking. Yeah, I guess that would cheer you up, the rookie-level Digimon said. So what time do you have to be there? Naruto glanced at the clock. It was 6:40 a.m. I have to get there for around 7:15, so I'll eat my ramen and then get ready, Naruto said. Dorumon nodded before going into the shower to have one himself. A few minutes later, Dorumon had showered and then Naruto walked in and had his. He stepped out with a towel wrapped around his waist before shoving Dorumon out of the bedroom and closing the door to change. Hey, you don't have to shove, Dorumon grumbled, his tail swishing back and forth in annoyance. Naruto walked out fully dressed in his usual outfit before taking his Digimon card case and D-Arc before going towards the door. Dorumon watched Naruto leave before he spied the piece of paper on the kitchen counter. The Digimon watched the paper for a few seconds before walking up to it and looking it over, and his eyes widened. Shit, this is Naruto's permission slip. Dorumon cried out in alarm before grabbing the paper and rushing towards the door, but paused for a bit before going back into the kitchen and grabbed a piece of bread and then left the apartment. Can't forget the essentials, now can I, he said to himself as he ate the slice of whole wheat. With Naruto 7:10 a.m. Naruto was walking towards Shinjuku Junior High before seeing his class lines up at the bus that had come to take them. Kiyoshi and Katsumi saw their blonde friend and waved to him. Naruto looked at them and walked up to them to tell them hi. But as he reached them, Naruto saw Kiyoshi's face being replaced with Sasuke's and Katsumi's with Sakura's. The two were glaring at him with unbridled hatred. Naruto's eyes widened before he rubbed them and the faces of his former comrades disappeared. Naruto, you okay? Katsumi asked with a concerned look. Yeah, dude. You don't look so good, Kiyoshi added. Naruto chuckled. Yeah, I'm fine, just a bit of exhaustion. Couldn't sleep well last night, Naruto said. No big deal. Katsumi and Kiyoshi nodded before taking out their permission slips. Naruto blinked and pointed at the strips of paper in his friend's hands. What are those? The blonde tamer asked. These are the permission slips that Mr. Kazuma gave us to allow us to go on the field trip, Kiyoshi said. You did remember your permission slip, right? Naruto gulped and then felt around in his pockets. He felt his D-arc, but other than that, there was nothing in his pockets. Naruto gulped. I'll be right back, Naruto said and ran back before turning the corner to run back to his apartment. Baka, he said to himself, slapping his own forehead. Naruto then continued to run before he crashed into something purple and short with a white-tipped tail. Naruto tripped and fell over the figure and then figure fell to the ground. Naruto got up and turned to glare at the figure before he realized who it was. Oi, watch the fuck where you're going. Team the fox-tailed dragon, Digimon said. Dorumon, Naruto asked. Oh, Naruto, there you are. Good thing too, you left this on the kitchen counter, the short-winged dragon said. Naruto took the piece of paper from Dorumon and saw it was his permission slip. Odomo arigato, Dorumon, Naruto said and hugged his Digimon partner. Alright, you're welcome already. Now enough with the hugging or I'll think you're gay, Dorumon said. Naruto growled and then dropped the Digimon onto the hard concrete sidewalk, earning an itachi from Dorumon. Oi, what the hell was that for? Dorumon growled, his orange eyes glaring at Naruto's blue eyes. That was for calling me gay, you diggy baka, Naruto growled back. Anime lightning suddenly clashed between their eyes, but then they stopped when they heard the bus horn. Huso, the bus, Naruto muttered before running after it. Dorumon watched as Naruto waved his slip in the air and ran up to Mr. Kazuma. Dorumon shook his head in disappointment. Humans. You can never understand them, he muttered. Then he sensed a presence on his left and turned to see the imp Digimon, Implon, standing on the tree branch of a nearby tree. Dorumon's eyes narrowed. Oh, it's just you, Dorumon said before turning to go back to the apartment. You know you make me sick to my stomach sucking up to that human and letting him treat you like some dog you just picked up from the street. Him ordering you around and call that shit, Impmon said. Dorumon sighed and faced the scarf-wearing Digimon. I'm not a pet, Baka. Naruto and I are partners and we look after each other. We see each other as equals. We're the same as bread and butter. We go well together. Of course I'm the bread. I wonder if Gilman had any bread. Dorumon thought. Impmon face-palmed and then looked at Dorumon. Dear Kami-sama, you're just like Pineapple Head back at the park. Only thinking about bread and your pitiful, retarded excuses for human partners, Impmon said. However, it was there that Dorumon glared at Impmon before jumping and grabbing Impmon with his claws and slamming the smaller Digimon to the ground. He then grabbed Impmon by the throat before pushing Impmon up against the trunk of the tree. Now listen here, shorty, I may be able to take insults and a few that are directed towards Naruto. But you better watch what you say about my tamer or you'll find yourself disappearing as red flakes of data. Dorumon growled, his normally round pupils turning slitted and his claws dug into Impmon's skin. You get my drift. Impmon chuckled nervously and nodded, and then Dorumon let the imp Digimon go before the dragon Digimon went back to the apartment. Impmon dusted himself off before glaring at the other rookie Digimon as he walked away. Well, I didn't need him to help me with my pranking, and besides I don't need a tamer to be strong. I'm the strongest Digimon there is, Impmon grumbles, and then leaped over a wall to wherever the hell he wanted to go. With Naruto. Naruto quickly ran back to the bus and skidded to a halt in front of the bus doors and causing Mr. Kazuma, who was looking around to see if anyone else was still outside, to throw a coughing fit. I'm here, Naruto said with a few gasps followed by his declaration. Mr. Kazuma stopped coughing and wiped his glasses clean with the cloth he kept in his pocket. Ah, Naruto, where did you come from? Naruto thought as Mr. Kazuma asked that question before answering. Well, Mr. Kazuma, you see my Aka-chan and Aru-san loved each other very much, so they decided to go in bed. Okay, don't need to go there, Naruto, Mr. Kazuma said with a sweat drop. However, Naruto, do you have your permission slip? The teacher asked. Naruto nodded and handed the white slip of paper to Mr. Kazuma. He looked it over and stared before sweat dropping. Is something wrong? Naruto asked, tilting his head to the side. Mr. Kazuma adjusted his glasses and shook his head. No, not at all. But out of curiosity ... why did your Aka-chan put a smiley face after her signature? Mr. Kazuma asked. Naruto then gave the response that Dorumon had given him. She likes smiley faces, he stated. Mr. Kazuma sighed at the answer. Mr. Kazuma had been sighing a lot lately since he started teaching. Poor Mr. Kazuma. The teacher then stepped aside and took his seat as the blonde Jinchuriki did the same. The bus was quite spacious and Naruto saw his friends, Katsumi and Kiyoshi, sitting in the back of the bus. Naruto quickly went over to the empty space, which was by a window on Katsumi's left. They had saved for him and smiled his foxy grin. Hey guys, he greeted. The two nodded and looked at him with confused glances. So, did you get your permission slip? Kiyoshi asked. Yeah dude, you bolted right as we asked you, which obviously meant you forgot it, Katsumi said in a matter-of-fact tone. Naruto nodded. Well yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be here with my two best friends, Naruto said, draping his arm around Katsumi's shoulder. Katsumi chuckled and slid the arm off of her before the bus let loose a hissing sound as its hydraulics went into action, and the bus drove off. Mr. Kazuma then stood up with a microphone in hand. Okay people, listen up. The bus ride to the Digimon Gaming Factory is about 2 hours long, so until then you are free to do anything you want that will not damage the bus or the other students, because I don't want a repeat of the rock incident from when we returned from the Natural History Museum, Mr. Kazuma announced before sitting down. Naruto looked confused at that statement. What happened on the trip from the Natural History Museum? The blonde Jinchuriki asked. Kiyoshi and Katsumi stared at each other before shaking their heads. Nope, can't tell you. It's a secret that the entire class swore we would never speak of again, Kiyoshi said. Katsumi nodded in agreement to not tell their blonde friend. So guys, are you psyched or what? Kiyoshi asked. What's the or what option? Naruto asked, earning a giggle from the red-haired girl next to him. Kiyoshi glared at the blonde before pouting. Fine then, I guess we're not talking on this trip. Oh come on Kiyoshi, Naruto was only joking, Katsumi said. Kiyoshi chuckled too before continuing with his conversation. Really though, what do you guys think of going to the Digimon Gaming Factory? I mean, what if they have new cards on sale or maybe free cards, Kiyoshi said with a bit of drool coming from his mouth. Dear Kami-sama, he sounds like the Kazu guy from Takato's class, Naruto thought. You're obsessed dude, you need help, Kiyoshi glared at his blonde friend. Oh yeah, says the one with a giant card case of Digimon cards, Kiyoshi said, pointing to the blue and black card case on Naruto's waist. Naruto looked down and smiled sheepishly. I'm not obsessed though, just collect the cards as a hobby, Naruto said in his defense. Wait, you have cards? Katsumi asked. Well yeah, don't you? Naruto asked. The red-haired girl nodded. Yup, but I never saw your cards, Katsumi said. I haven't seen your cards either, Naruto retorted. Wanna look then? Katsumi asked. Naruto shrugged. Sure, why not? The two were about to exchange decks when Kiyoshi reached over and grabbed Naruto's cards and opened the card case. Immediately Kiyoshi grabbed the deck and surfed through it like a guy who surfs the net at super fast speeds. Naruto quickly grabbed the deck and yanked it out of Kiyoshi's hands, and just in time too, for just after the card Kiyoshi was looking at were the sovereign cards and the blue card. Naruto glared at Kiyoshi. Dude, what the hell? Naruto yelled. Gomen Nasai, but I wanted to see them, Kiyoshi whined. Naruto glared before he removed the sovereign cards and the blue card, placing the blue card in the back of the pile of 6 cards and placing them in his card case. Katsumi and Kiyoshi looked at their friend strangely. Why did you put those cards away? She asked. Yeah man, I wanna see them. Naruto shook his head no. Kiyoshi pouted, but brightened up as he saw Naruto hand Katsumi his deck and then leaned in to see Naruto's cards. The two then began discussing the cards in Naruto's decks until they reached one specific card. On the card was a picture of a white humanoid-looking Digimon with one arm looking similar to Wargreymann's brave shield and head to form the left arm, while the right arm was made to look like Metal Garurumon's with a cannon in its mouth. Behind the Digimon was a picture of the Omega symbol. Beneath the picture of the white Digimon was a phrase that said, "All delete." Dude, no way. Kiyoshi exclaimed. Nani? Naruto asked. Naruto, this card is really rare. Only 4 of these have been made to exist. It's called Omni-Force, All Delete, an attack that allows the user's Omnimon monster card to vanquish any and all opponents from the field. Dude, I'll give you anything for this card, Kiyoshi said. Katsumi and Naruto looked at each other and then back at Kiyoshi. You are obsessed, they said simultaneously. Kiyoshi sighed. Naruto, please, let me play a card game with you. I want to use that card so badly with my Omnimon card, Kiyoshi said. Fine, I'll play against you and just for the fun of it, I will let you use Omniforce, all delete, Naruto said with a sigh. But then Naruto looked around as the bus suddenly went silent and everyone stared at him and Kiyoshi. Why is everyone staring at us? He whispered to Katsumi. The red-haired girl sighed. Kiyoshi is the best Digimon card player in our class, and to have him play you would be like receiving a mountain's worth of gold in their minds, she said. Naruto sighed before looking at Kiyoshi with a smirk. Well, I can't turn down a challenge. Bring it on, Naruto said. Kiyoshi nodded and then sat back down normally. We'll play at the factory. They have a card playing room for the Digimon gamers who want to play in between the tours, Kiyoshi said. Naruto nodded and the class cheered. Kiyoshi's finally going to battle someone. Awesome, Kiyoshi's gonna win for sure. Really, Naruto looks like he has some experience under his belt from the way he just accepted the challenge from the best gamer in our class. These discussions continued for a while, until the bus reached the Digimon gaming factory. Mr. Kazuma stepped out first and then had the students line up single file. The students walked towards the door and the automatic sensors detected them and the doors opened. Naruto's eyes widened as he had never seen technology this advanced, especially with what he saw inside. Conveyor belts and electronic arms, high-speed scanner, multiple computer that could have equaled 3 supercomputers in terms of memory alone. Then a tall middle-aged woman who was well endowed walked up as she tapped her sensory pad which controlled what went on in some parts of the factory. She stopped as she reached the students and then tucked her pad underneath her arm and waved. The woman had gray eyes and blonde hair with streaks of silver showing she was getting old, and wore a purple blouse with a black skirt that reached just above her knees and black high heels. She had a lab coat on with the symbol for Digimon on her lab coat, which were large letters in gold and blue which spelled out Digimon. Ohio Minasan, I am Kari Ishida, the assistant manager of the Digimon gaming factory, and are you the students from Shinjuku Junior High? Kari said with a smile. The students nodded. Nice to meet you, Kari-san, the students replied. Mr. Kazuma and Kari chuckled at their eager responses. Now then, if you follow me, to begin with the tour we are going to see the area where the Digimon games are made, Kari said. The group walked past a large glass window which showed many computers with many people running back and forth as they calculated data and creating programs to make the Digimon games a reality. As they stopped, everyone went in front of the glass window and peered through in awe. Sugoi, they exclaimed. These workers are developing programs for the newest Digimon game to come out this summer. We call them Digimon World, Dawn and Digimon World, Dusk. They feature different Digimon, but through wireless connectivity you can trade and interact with friends and their Digimon, Kari said. A new game, cool, one student said. Can I see a trial run of the game? One student said. Kari chuckled. Maybe later, but come on, we have much more to see, Kari said. The students nodded and followed the assistant manager, but as Naruto was walking past the window he looked at one of the computer screen where a series of ones and zeros were rapidly moving across the screen. But when he was looking at that he could have soared. He saw 3 tiny figures moving across the screen. Then he saw 2 of the tiny figures stop and by pumping chakra into his eyes he used his enhanced vision. He noticed the tiny images on the screen looking at him before chasing after the other figure. Naruto's eyes widened in shock. Naruto, come on. Katsumi yelled to him. The blonde shook his head and looked at his friend and nodded. Coming, and then ran to catch up with the group. But something didn't seem right. The figures that stared at him were familiar looking to him as the figures were obviously Digimon, but which ones were they? The names were on the tip of his tongue, but he couldn't remember it. But that was when his eyes widened in realization at who those Digimon were. War Greymon and Metal Garurumon. Naruto whispered. Naruto walked alongside Katsumi as he whispered the Digimon's names, and the red-haired girl looked at the blonde who was slightly taller than her, since he had grown 1 inch over the week, putting him at 5 feet, 5 inches. Huh, did you say something? She asked. Naruto looked up and smiled sheepishly. No, Katsumi-chan. Just wondering about what strategies I should use in my game with Kiyoshi, Naruto said. Katsumi nodded and smiled at the Jinchuriki before focusing on the path the group followed. The group then reached the card-making area. The cards are made using a mixture of plastic, paper, and so as to give them that little bit of protection, a sheet of titanium which gives the cards their weight and durability just below the blue and green card game covers, Kari explained. The copies of cards that have recently come out are being made here, except for certain cards. I noticed that many of you have Digimon card cases. Do any of you have these cards? She asked. Kiyoshi raised his hand. Everyone turned to look at the brown-haired boy. You have one, young man. Which one? Kari asked. Kiyoshi smiled. Well, it's not mine. But Naruto, Kiyoshi pointed to his spiky-haired friend. He has the card, Omniforce. All delete, the card to be used with the Omniman card. Kari's eyes widened in shock. Really? Well, Naruto, you are really lucky to have found that card. Only 4 of them exist, along with the Ulforce card that we made for Ulforce VMon, and we are making a new brand of cards called DIGIX, and have come up with a card to act as the opposite to Omniman, Kari said. What's it called? One student asked. Well, we originally made Omniman based on the phrase I am the Alpha and the Omega, with Omniman being the Omega, so we just created the Alpha card, Kari said. However, it's still in the computer's memory banks and is still in its developing stages. We have just finished coming up with a design for the Digimon, Kari said. The blonde-haired woman typed a few keys on her pad, and then she turned the pad around and then tapped a button, and a hologram of the image of the Digimon they made for the DIGIX brand showed up. The Digimon was coated in black armor, which gave it a bulky yet intimidating look with golden lining and golden patterns etched into the armor. It had red eyes and 2 fangs peeking through the helmet it wore, and a long blue cape which was silver on the underside and had many holes in it on the bottom of the cape, seemed to flow from its neck and twisted to make it look like it was blowing in the wind. This is our final decision on the Digimon's outer characteristics, but we still need to make more adjustments to its stats though, Kari said as she hit the rotation button on her data pad and the Digimon turned a full 360 degrees. Everyone stared in awe at the armored Digimon. So what is this Digimon's name? One student asked. Call it Armorman. No way dude, that's a shit name, call it Kikasmon. You boys are complete bakas. It should be called Black Knightman. The students continued to call random names to name the Digimon. Kari and Mr. Kazuma chuckled, and then the group continued with the tour, looking at all the computer work and the manufacturing and the packaging of the cards. Well, that's all there is to this factory. Now then, any questions? Kari asked. Kiyoshi and Naruto raised their hands. Kari nodded and gestured to them. Yes, Kari-san, I was wondering. I heard you had a card playing room for the people who tour the place. Kiyoshi said. Is that true? Kari nodded. Of course. Are you and the young blonde going to play? She asked. Naruto and Kiyoshi nodded. Kari gained a shine in her eyes as she was told this. Do you mind if I watch? I haven't seen a Digimon card game in a long time. Naruto and Kiyoshi looked at each other and shrugged. Hi, they said. Naruto gave the nice guy pose and his teeth sparkled. Everyone stared in shock at what Naruto just did. How did you make your teeth do that? Katsumi asked. It's called Colgate toothpaste, the blonde replied. The assistant manager of the Digimon factory led the students and their teacher into a room that had a few tables used for playing the card game. The class and the 2 adults gathered around the table in a circle as Naruto and Kiyoshi took their seats and took out their decks. Kari looked at Naruto and Kiyoshi. I'm sure you both know how to play the game, she asked. Kiyoshi nodded, but Naruto didn't. Actually, I don't, he admitted. Kari nodded and then went into the lengthy explanation of how to play the card game. Each player draws 5 cards at the beginning of the game. The players then play a 1 round of rock, paper, scissors, and the winner goes first. The player draws 1 card during the beginning of each of their turns, and then the players are only allowed to play 1 monster card on the field, with the baby to rookie level Digimon being the only cards that could be played without the need for digivolving. The Digimon have varying power levels ranging from 5 points to over 100. If the player has the digivolve forms of their rookie monster card in their hand, they can digivolve it to the champion, champion to ultimate, and ultimate to mega. In order to win, the players must battle with their monster cards to fight, and the first player to lose 10 of their monster cards loses. Modification card can be used to power up or defend your monsters. Power-ups used only before the battle phase, and defense cards are only used during the battle phase. I see. So it's basically first one to lose 10 monsters loses. Use modification cards when needed, and the ability to digivolve is only available if the digivolve forms are in your hand. Naruto summarized. Kari nodded. Precisely. You grasp things quite quickly, Naruto, Kari said. Naruto grinned. It's one of my most recognizable traits, the Jinchuriki said. Naruto and Kiyoshi nodded to each other, but Naruto scanned through his deck and then withdrew 1 card and handed it to Kiyoshi. He had quickly placed his sovereign cards and the blue card back into his case without anyone noticing, using his quick movements. Is that the card, the Omni Force, all delete? Kari asked. Naruto and Kiyoshi nodded as Kiyoshi placed the card in a random part of his deck and then shuffled his deck. The 2 players then drew their 5 cards. Naruto and Kiyoshi then performed the rock, paper, scissors, with Naruto winning by using paper as Kiyoshi used rock. Typical of the stupid boys to use rock, all the girls thought. Naruto then drew his 6th card and looked at Kiyoshi. Naruto placed a card down. Okay, I play Armadillomon on the field, Naruto said, and then he played another card. Then I use the Digi Egg of Knowledge and Armor digivolve him into Digimon and modify him with Digmon's drills. Naruto ended his turn with his Digimon rising from its original 80 points to 90. Kiyoshi nodded and then played 1 card as he drew I play Tentomon and digivolve him to Kabutorimon, Kyoshi said, powering up the champion level Digimon from 70 to 90 points. Kyoshi and Naruto had their monsters battle. Digimon and Kabutorimon killed each other and both players now had 9 tries left to defeat each other. It was then Naruto's turn. The blonde tamer drew a card and then played a card down. I summoned Vemon. Your turn, Naruto said, ending his turn. Kyoshi drew a card and smirked. He then played a card down. I play Betamon and then digivolve it to Seadramon. Then I play the modification card, Tidal Rage, and increase Seadramon's power from 80 to 110, Kyoshi said. Now I destroy your Vemon, however. He saw Naruto draw a card from his hand and place it down. I use the modification card Holy Barrier and protect Vemon, Naruto said, and then place the card into his case since after using it once meant he can't use it again. Kyoshi gritted his teeth and then looked at Naruto with a glare. Naruto drew a card and then ended since he couldn't do anything. Kyoshi smirked and destroyed Vemon, leaving Naruto with only 8 more tries. Naruto didn't respond, but the crowd was watching with a hunger as they were completely absorbed in the match, especially Kari being around Digimon-themed things her entire adult life. After many summoning, Naruto had lost 3 more monsters to Kyoshi's powerful Seadramon card, leaving him with only 5 tries. However, it was then that the tide began to turn. Naruto drew a card and smirked. I play the modification card, Computer Reboot, and this card allows me to revive a Digimon that has already been destroyed, Naruto said, and then he took out Vemon and placed it on the field from his case. Then he played another card. I then digivolve Vemon to X Vemon, Naruto said as he played the card for Vemon's champion form. Kyoshi smirked. That thing has only 70 points. You can't beat my 110 point Seadramon, Kyoshi said smugly. But Naruto's smirk never wavered as he played another card. DNA Digivolution activate. He yelled, placing the card hard on the field, shaking the table. Everyone's eyes widened, earning a chorus of "oh-oh-ohs" from the crowd. Excellent strategy, luring his opponent into thinking he was winning before striking back, Kari thought with a smile at the blonde. Nice. I DNA Digivolve my X Vemon with the Stingmon card in my hand. Naruto then placed the 2 champion level cards from his hand and field along with the Vemon and DNA Digivolution card on the field into his card case, which acted as a graveyard. Kyoshi's eyes widened. No way, you have him, Kyoshi yelled, and Naruto smiled, baring his sharper than normal canines and nodded. I play Paildramon, Naruto said, playing the card. Then I equip it with the modification card Paildramon's Desperado Blasters. The card with the picture of Paildramon's guns was laid down. Naruto smirked as the newly played ultimate card increased in power from 120 to 150 points. Naruto defeated Kyoshi's Seadramon and along with 6 other monsters that Kyoshi attempted to use to defeat Paildramon, but to no avail, and left Kyoshi with only 2 attempts left to try and defeat Naruto. The match was seemingly intense as the match continued to drag on, but then Kyoshi drew a card for his turn. Okay, I got you now, Naruto, the brown-haired boy said as he played down a card. I play the dual battle modification card that allows me to play 2 monsters on the field, and I choose Agumon and Gabumon from my hand, Kyoshi said, laying the 2 monsters down. Naruto looked in confusion as Kyoshi played the much weaker monsters, and then he realized something. Oh no, he thought. Kyoshi then picked a card from his hand and laid it down on the field. I play Warp Digivolution and Warp Digivolve both Agumon and Gabumon to their mega forms, Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon, Kyoshi said. He's going to do it. I haven't seen this combo since I played him, Katsumi said with a smirk as she watched Naruto's shocked face. Kyoshi then played the DNA Digivolution card. I DNA Digivolve Metal Garurumon and Wargreymon to play Omnimon, Kyoshi said, taking away all the cards on the field before playing one of the 2 cards left in his hand. I summon Omnimon, Kyoshi yelled, and then played the Omega Digimon on the field and attacked Naruto's Paildramon. But Naruto quickly played one of the 5 cards in his hand. Digimodify Wargreymon's Brave Shield, Naruto said as he suddenly became serious, as if he were fighting an actual Digimon with Dorumon. The Brave Shield nullified Kyoshi's attack and Kyoshi ended his turn. You're lucky, Naruto, Kyoshi said. Naruto nodded and then he drew a card before removing Paildramon from the field. I Digivolve Paildramon into Imperialdramon, Naruto said, playing the dragon-looking Digimon card. Both Imperialdramon and Omnimon had the same power levels, so it was basically at a standoff, and neither player was going to attack because they both knew that Kyoshi held the Omniforce card in his hand. I then used the card, Virus Strike, and take Omnimon over to my side of the field, Naruto said. Kyoshi shook his head. You can't do that. Remember, Omnimon's card ability is to destroy all virus-natured cards on the field, Kyoshi informed his opponent. Naruto gritted his teeth and put away the card in his card case. Wow, who would think a card game would be this good, Mr. Kazuma mumbled. I know what you mean, Kari whispered to the teacher as the 2 adults and 30 other children watched the game. Kyoshi ended his turn as he was saving the Omni Force card for when Naruto did something, and something is what Naruto did. I change Imperialderman into Imperialderman Fighter mode and then modify it with the Positron laser card, powering it up from the original 200 to 270, Naruto said. Omniman had 200 point also, but now he exceeded that limit, and Kyoshi smirked as he laid down the card. I play Omni Force. I'll delete and destroy your Imperialderman Fighter mode, Kyoshi said. Naruto smirked. Kyoshi, you think I would have a card as strong as that without coming up with a counter-attack? Naruto asked. Kyoshi's as well as everyone's eyes widened. You can beat the Omni Force card? Kari asked. Naruto nodded. Ever since Kyoshi told me of this card, along the way to this place, I had looked through my deck to create strategies on how to counter this card ... and this it. Naruto said, and then played the card down. Digimodify data extraction. Naruto said. Everyone's eyes widened. Nani? They cried out. What card is that? Impossible. I stopped the making of that card because it gave players a great edge in the game if they both had cards like Omniman and Imperialderman of the field. Kari exclaimed. Well, I guess I was lucky enough to get it before your discontinuation stopped, Naruto said, and then told people of the card's effect. The card allows me to extract data from a Digimon and revert it back into its rookie form. So, since Omniman has been a DNA Digivolved monster, he reverts back into both Gabumon and Agumon, Naruto explained. Kyoshi stared shocked as his withdrew Agumon and Gabumon from his card case and placed them on the field and removed Omniman and the Omni Force card. Now I activate Imperialderman Fighter Mode's special ability, which allows me to strike twice if equipped with the Positron laser, Naruto said, and then with a deep breath he blew on the cards and they flew by Kyoshi's face. Naruto stood up and packed up his cards before placing them back in his card case. Good game, Kyoshi, you nearly had me there with Omniman, Naruto said. Kyoshi packed up his cards and handed Naruto his Omni Force card back. Kyoshi nodded. Arigato, Naruto. You did better though, Kyoshi said as the two shook hands. Kari smirked. You two played extremely well. Naruto, your plan to defeat Omniman was clever. However, before the blonde-haired assistant manager of the Digimon company could continue, she was interrupted as a short fat man wearing glasses and a lab coat over a gray suit entered. Excuse me, Ishida-sama, there's something wrong with the computers, the man said. Kari's face turned to anger and shock. Nanny, what the hell do you mean by that? She yelled out. Pardon my language, kids, she said with a sweet voice to them. The man continued. Hi, Ishida-sama. The computers are losing all their data and the data on the new DigiX cards and the new Alpha card we were creating, all of the data is suddenly disappearing, the man yelled out. The class followed Kari to the computer room and saw a large screen flashing red as in the center of the screen. In violet was a symbol, a single black upside-down triangle, and connected to the vertexes of the triangle. A right side up triangle was attached and a circle surrounded the center triangle which had the other three connected to it. The symbol for the digital hazard. It is some kind of virus that found its way into the network. It's like a worm of some kind, the lab tech said as he typed away at the computer and tried to slow down the virus. But the keyboard was not responding. Great, and now it's shut down all of our equipment. The only way to stop this thing is to shut down the entire system and reboot, the man said. Kari glared at the man. There is no way I am throwing away over 40 years of work just because of a virus in the system, Kari said. But Ishida-sama, the virus is apparently absorbing or deleting the data in our memory banks. This company has over 3 supercomputers with over 200 megabytes of memory. This virus is deleting nearly a quarter of it within the hour, the man exclaimed. Kari remained silent. Try the wireless equipment. They have no serious connection to the tech due to the infrared connection so that it wouldn't shut down, Kari instructed. The tech sighed and complied with the order. Naruto then channeled chakra into his eyes and looked into the screen, and his assumptions were correct when he saw the symbol. He saw the tiny figures of Metal Garurumon and War Greymon chasing after a brown-colored Digimon with blue armor over its head, hands, and torso, with extremely long arms which had red claws on its hands, 3 red spikes protruding from its back, and a yellow mane with evil yellow eyes peering through its mask. Then Naruto saw the War Greymon and Metal Garurumon which were chasing the unknown Digimon stop and look straight at him. Naruto looked around the room to see if the Digimon were looking at anyone else before he pointed at himself and saw the 2 mega-level Digimon nod. Naruto's eyes widened before turning to Mr. Kazuma. Mr. Kazuma, I have to use the bathroom, he cried out. The teacher turned to the blonde and nodded. Sure, Kari-san, please direct Naruto to the bathroom, Mr. Kazuma said. Kari stared at Naruto. Naruto, Gomen Nasai, I don't have time to leave this room. The bathroom is straight down the hall and first door on the left as you turn the corner. Naruto nodded and left the room before channeling chakra into his feet immediately after he left before speeding back to entrance of the Digimon factory. His speed caused a trail of dust to be left behind him and many gasps were heard as a blonde-colored blur sped past them. Naruto doubted any of them got a good look at him at the speeds he was moving at. He quickly performed hand signs as he exited the Digimon gaming factory. Time to try out the new Kekai Genkai techniques from Odus and the Namikaze air thought before ending the hand signs on Rabbit. Jinten, Heipa Heiasa no Jutsu, Speed Style, Hyper Speed Jutsu. Naruto yelled and then his speed increased to far beyond what he was traveling at as he used the secret bloodline of the Namikaze clan. Jinten's Speed Style, and raced back to his apartment to get his faithful Digimon partner. With Dorumon Naruto's in Dorumon's apartment. Dorumon was lying down on the couch looking at the blank screen of the television with a slice of bread in one hand and a cup of instant ramen in the other. Drool dripped from the dragon Digimon's lips as he was bored out of his mind. I am bored out of my mind. I wish something exciting would happen right now, Dorumon sighed. Dorumon's eyes bugged out and he dropped the empty ramen cup and his slice of bread as he saw Naruto standing there after having broke down the door. Naruto, what are you doing here? The Digimon asked, his tail waving behind him. You are supposed to be at your field trip. I know, but there's a problem, Naruto said. Dorumon's eyes brightened. Oh, a Digimon. Awesome, where is it? Shinjuku Park, in the Digimon gaming factory. Where? The violet and white furred creature asked. It's in the digital plane and to be specific the inside of the main hard drive of the Digimon gaming factory, Naruto said. Dorumon's eyes widened. Are you serious? He asked, but Naruto gave the look that said he wasn't joking. Now come on, we have to go. Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon are waiting on us, he said. The ex-antibody holder looked at his tamer in confusion. Huh? He intelligently remarked. Naruto then began to explain. You see, when the virus attacked the computer system in the Digimon gaming factory, I used my chakra and enhanced my vision to see the pixelated images that I managed to glimpse at with my already superior vision. I then saw three figures. One was being chased by the other two. The one being chased was an unknown Digimon and obviously the virus, but the other two I immediately recognized as Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon, Naruto said. Now they need our help to stop the virus. Okay, I understand. But how are we getting to the digital world? It's not like a portal is gonna come out of the sky, Dorumon cried out. But as he said this, a large yellow beam of light came down from his ceiling and enveloped the two. The beam of light was originating from a dark swirl of matter that was edged with dark green digital flakes. Hey look, a portal that came from the sky, Naruto said looking at Dorumon. I should start saying things like this more often, Dorumon said in monotone. The two were suddenly forced upwards. Help us, Tamer, the virus is too strong. We will take you to our location, two voices said. Both sounded deep, but one of them sounded a bit gruffer than the other one. Naruto and Dorumon were flung through the portal and suddenly found themselves in a shining blue tunnel that was quickly becoming just light as they developed tunnel vision from the speeds they were going at. Naruto quickly grabbed Dorumon and the Digimon latched onto the blonde's back. Time to speed things up a bit, Naruto said, flashing quickly through hand signs and ended on Dragon. Katen, Katebakufu no Jutsu, Fire Style, Fire Explosion Jutsu. A large stream of fire exploded out of Naruto's hands and then sent the duo careening faster through the portal before they were enveloped in a white light. Digital plane computer screen of Digimon Gaming Factory. A black portal formed in the digital plane and Naruto and Dorumon dropped out of it and floated there for a few seconds before something passed over their heads. A large Digimon which was brown and covered with blue armor on its hands, head and torso. It had yellow-colored eyes as a small digital hazard symbol glowed in violet just above a green gem on its chest. Large red claws, 3 on each hand, were shown on its extremely long arms and 3 red spikes protruded from its back. Then 2 more Digimon passed over them, Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon. Hey look, there they are, Naruto pointed out. Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon flew towards the blue-armored Digimon as they fired their attacks. Many flaps on Metal Garurumon's body opened up to reveal many guns while Wargreymon held his hands together and an orange ball of fire began to form. Ice Wolf Claw, Terra Force. Many missiles flew from Metal Garurumon's cannons while a gigantic ball of orange flame flew at the unknown Digimon. Naruto took out his D-Arc and scanned the Digimon. Okay, well, we know Wargreymon, a mega level whose attacks are Terra Force, Dragon Killer and Great Tornado, while Metal Garurumon is another mega level Digimon whose attacks are Giga Missile, Ice Wolf Claw, and Metal Wolf Claw. Naruto read as the 2 images came up. Then the image of the unknown Digimon came up and Naruto read it out loud. Diaborumon, a mega level, what the hell? He is a pure virus-type Digimon whose goal in life is to absorb every scrap of data in the world, and his attacks are Cable Crusher and Web Wrecker. Naruto read. Then a large boom erupted, and it was then that Naruto noticed that he and Dorumon were in a large dome made entirely of ones and zeros. Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon looked at the large smoke cloud and saw Diaboromon was burnt from the top half of his body while the bottom half was encased in ice and he was trying to break free. Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon then turned and flew towards Naruto. "Ah, chosen tamer and his partner, you are here," Wargreymon said. Yes, I am," he replied. "Well, we better get you up to speed. My ice won't hold him for long," the wolf Digimon said as the ice that encased Diaboromon began to crack a bit. "Okay, what's going on?" "Well, Diaboromon is trying to absorb all the data in the world. But he managed to absorb too much data, so we needed some help, so we found you as we were chasing him into this network," Wargreymon explained. "Now we need your help. Diaboromon's speed is great, and although Wargreymon and I are mega-level Digimon and are two of the most powerful, we cannot land a killing blow on him," Metal Garurumon added. "Will you help us?" they both asked. Naruto and Dorumon looked at each other and a determined look filled their eyes, and they turned to the mega-level Digimon and nodded. "Hi, good, because he just broke out," Wargreymon said. The group turned to see Diaboromon give a deafening roar and then with all his strength broke the ice and then rocketed towards Metal Garurumon and Wargreymon. But as they were getting ready, Naruto and Dorumon jumped in front and Dorumon opened his mouth. Metal shoot. Multiple iron balls flew from Dorumon's maw and struck the mega-level Digimon. But it didn't even flinch. Wargreymon quickly shielded the two with his brave shield, and sparks flew from the chrome Digizoid shield as Diaboromon's claws raked down the shield. Wargreymon quickly redirected Diaboromon's attack and then spun and kicked the virus ip in his face before spinning quickly, looking like an orange drill. "Great tornado!" the mega form of Agumon yelled before drilling forwards, but Diaboromon avoided the attack before turning to Naruto. As he looked at Naruto, the violet-colored digital hazard sign on its chest glowed. The originally yellow eyes of the mega-level virus type began to be filled with a sky blue color before mixing to form an aqua-green color. The master says to destroy the boy and his Digimon. Naruto, Uzumaki, Namikaze, and Dorumon, prepare yourselves. Diaboromon roared before stretching its arms out. Cable Crusher. The long red claws reached for Naruto and Dorumon, but the two quickly dodged the attack before Metal Garurumon fired a missile from a compartment on his chest. Giga Missile. The large missile flew from the compartment, sending Metal Garurumon skidding backwards from the recoil. The attack was dodged before the Mega Virus Digimon performed Cable Crusher again. However, Wargreymon quickly slashed down with his Dramon Killers. Dragon Destroyer. And then his claws came down, but the arms quickly wrapped themselves around Wargreymon, halting his movement before throwing him into Metal Garurumon. The arms continued to stretch their way towards Naruto and Dorumon. Naruto growled and his eyes turned crimson. His pupil slitted. Dorumon's eyes suddenly gained a more fiery color as crimson mixed with orange, and suddenly they both became stronger. Kyuubi's chakra flooded Naruto's chakra system, and due to their bond, Dorumon also gained a power boost. The two dodged the attack and then began to run up Diaboromon's arm, using it as a pathway along to his body. Naruto quickly took out his D-Arc and a card. Digimodify, Jiagrimon's Mega Flame. A large ball of red fire materialized in Dorumon's claws as Naruto flashed through hand signs. Katen, Karyuandon no Jutsu, Fire Style, Fire Dragon Blast Jutsu. A large fire dragon rocketed out of Naruto's mouth as Dorumon threw the Mega Flame. The two fires mixed to form a gigantic dragon of red fire. Collaboration Jutsu, Seikayo no Karyuandon no Jutsu, Omega Fire Dragon Blast Jutsu. The two yelled as the attack impacted with their opponent's face. Diaboromon roared as the attack struck. That actually hurt, but I will not yield, Diaboromon thought. I shall kill you in the name of my master. Naruto and Dorumon growled before Dorumon jumped into the air and opened his jaws. Metal Shoot. A much more powerful Metal Shoot attack formed as the metal spheres were red hot from the Kyuubi's chakra, increasing his power. And then it struck Diaboromon's face, sending up an explosion and causing the Mega Digimon pain. Naruto then jumped and formed a small ball of light blue spinning chakra with a core of violet. Rasengan. He yelled and slammed the attack forwards into its chest, and the virus Digimon was sent flying. Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon flew past the Tamer and Digimon before attacking Diaboromon. Metal Garurumon quickly slammed his body into Diaboromon, sending the creature upwards before Wargreymon brought down his Dramon Killers. Dragon Destroyer. The chrome Digizoid-clad Digimon yelled before chopping the Digimon in half. Wargreymon flew back to gain some distance and smirked beneath his helmet. But his happiness was short-lived as Diaboromon's halves regenerated and formed two Diaboromon. Phew, one Diaboromon said. cannot defeat us. The second one spoke. The master will not accept defeat. The spoke simultaneously for this. Naruto growled as he remembered Raidramon's words about this master. Flashback. What the hell was all that talk about this master you were fighting for? Naruto asked. Raidramon looked at Naruto as his eyes began to change from violet back to red. Raidramon suddenly began to forget as the evil power he was given left him. The master, the name, it was in my head the entire time we were fighting young Tamer. His name was Luke. But it was too late, for Raidramon had dispersed into red flakes of data. Naruto looked in shock at what he just heard. Then flashback. Naruto glared at DIGIMON, and then the Kyuubi's Yaokai formed a shroud of Yaokai around him in the shape of a tail's kitsune and looked like it was red fire surrounding him. Dorumon's eyes took on a more reddish-orange color, and the white parts of his fur which were on his snout, hands, feet and tip of his tail gained red highlights, their powers rising at an alarming rate. Well, listen here, Dorumon and we will not lose, Naruto said, and tell your master. The two took off towards the DIGIMON that we will defeat him. Naruto and Dorumon then slammed full force against the two virus Digimon. Naruto then formed two rasengans in his hands and slammed them into the DIGIMON. Double rasengan, he yelled, and then sent the two flying away as the rasengans shredded the clones through their chests, but they regenerated once more, becoming 4. 4 then became 8. 8 became 16 until they kept multiplying until the lining of the dome was surrounded with DIGIMON. All of them laughing. The master wants you both dead, Naruto, Dorumon, and we shall fulfill his commandments. The Digimon yelled, and then they charged up the gems in their chests which began to glow a shining gold. Then the fired web wrecker, the DIGIMON all yelled simultaneously before firing. A storm of gold fired from all angles, but Wargreymon, MetalGarurumon, Naruto, and Dorumon began dodging them all with ease. Well, not really ease, but they were doing pretty well. Wargreymon and MetalGarurumon saw that Naruto and Dorumon were getting tired after a few minutes of dodging an endless amount of the web wrecker attacks. We must protect the boy, MetalGarurumon said. He and his partner cannot die on our faults, Wargreymon said. The two mega-level Digimon quickly flew towards the tiring Tamer and his partner. Dorumon dodged a few, but one was about to strike him, so Naruto dodged a few of his own before grabbing Dorumon and yanking him out of the way. Then Naruto spun, creating a crimson twister that deflected the golden spheres of destruction, and taking out many DIGIMON in the process. Wargreymon and MetalGarurumon finally reached the duo, and then began to fire their attacks in order to protect them. But to no avail, as the attacks kept coming from the virus Digimon. So the two mega levels did the only thing they could do. They huddled around Naruto and Dorumon and took the attacks as they slammed into them. A large amount of explosions sounded and the firing stopped. The swarm of DIGIMON watched with glee as they saw the two mega-level Digimon floating lifelessly in the digital space. Naruto and Dorumon opened their eyes, having shut them during the explosions. Luckily, the Kyuubi's chakra was able to protect Naruto and Dorumon from the brunt of the explosion. The two then gasped as they saw Wargreymon and MetalGarurumon. They looked like broken toys, cracked, some parts of their bodies were missing and their eye sockets were empty, just endless black in them. Wargreymon, Naruto asked, shaking the Dramon Digimon. MetalGarurumon, Dorumon said, shaking the metallic wolf. They both got no response, and then the two turned to face the DIGIMON swarm. We will not let you win, they yelled. Naruto drew a card and nodded to Dorumon, who grabbed the two Digimon in his claws. Digimodify, computer reboot activate. Naruto yelled, swiping the card. A white light surrounded Dorumon's arms, and then he touched the two down megas and they were both shrouded in the same light. When the light died down, MetalGarurumon and Wargreymon were revived. Their eyes were filled with life as Wargreymon's green eyes and MetalGarurumon's red ones were opened. Their injuries were healed and they were filled with new strength. Digimodify, DNA Digivolution and Energy Transfer activate. Naruto swiped the two cards through his D-Arc, and then Dorumon was filled with the light of Digivolution. But the energy was then transferred to Wargreymon and MetalGarurumon. The two mega-level Digimon seemed to smile. You have revived us, and for that we thank you, Naruto and Dorumon. Now we must return the favor, they said. Wargreymon's body was surrounded in an orange light, while MetalGarurumon's was surrounded in a dark blue light. DNA Digivolution, MetalGarurumon, Wargreymon. The two mega-level Digimon swirled around each other in a twister of blue and orange as they went through a ring of red data, and their DNA fused into one being. DNA Digivolve 2. Wargreymon's body grew in size before it glowed orange, and the body of Wargreymon was absorbed into his skull, which took on an orange color. A black arm extended from the base of the skull, with the brave shield from Wargreymon's back being the shoulder of the arm. MetalGarurumon's body glowed blue, and the body of MetalGarurumon was absorbed into his skull, which remained the same, but in its mouth was a large cannon. A black arm extended from the base of the skull with a blue circle with yellow spikes that looked like the same material metal Garurumon's body was made from. Made the shoulder. The light from their fusion suddenly attached itself to the arms and became the body of his newly formed Digimon. His body was adorned with white armor, 3 purple stripes were on each pectoral. On his waist were 2 golden spikes that curved upwards like devil horns, and on his feet were 3 golden claws, each. His eyes were a bright blue and 2 fang-like marking were on the mouth part of his face. On the Digimon's chest was a fusion of the crests of courage and friendship in gold. Then the new Digimon wore developed white cape with a red underside that flowed down from his shoulders and makeshift wind from his Digivolution. The metal Garurumon mouth on the right arm opened to reveal the hidden cannon while he flicked his left hand, which looked like Wargreymann's head, and a long sword blade flew out. Along the length of the blade, in golden digicode, the words all delete. The warrior spoke his name. Omnimon, Naruto and Dorumon flew over to the mega-level Royal Knight Digimon as Naruto took out his D-Arc, which automatically scanned Omnimon. Omnimon, a holy knight and warrior Digimon who is built for any situation due to his fusion between Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon. On his right arm is the Supreme Cannon, on his left is the legendary Grey Sword along with the Brave Shield. His attacks are Supreme Cannon, Transcendent Sword, Double Shot and Omni-Force. All delete, Naruto read in excitement. The two then sat themselves on Omnimon's shoulders. The Diaboromon roared at Omnimon before the gems on their chests glowed. Webwrecker, they yelled. The storm of golden sphere of energy sped towards Omni from all directions, but Omni seemed to chuckle before spinning, forcing the blonde Jinchuriki and the X-antibody holder to have to grip on tightly to Omnimon. Transcendent Sword. Omnimon roared, and then large blue crescents of energy flew from the gray sword and stopped all the attacks before he stopped spinning. Naruto and Dorumon had swirls in their eyes, meaning that they were dizzy. Slow down on the spinning, will you, Omnimon? Naruto said, shaking his head. Gomen Nasai, young tamer, the royal knight said before getting serious. His Garurumon cannon aimed as it charged an icy blue beam. Supreme Cannon. A blast of blue energy shot forth and destroyed a large portion of the swarm. Omnimon kept firing his Supremum Cannon before the sword retracted back into the Wargreymon head before opening to reveal a hidden cannon in there also. Double Shot. Omnimon fired a blast of ice and a blast of flame from the Garurumon and Greymon heads respectively, causing large explosions. The White Knight then decided to end things before firing rapidly with his Double Shot attack. Explosions filled the digital area, and then Omnimon saw that there was still a lot of the Diaboromon clones, so he released the Grey Sword, and then the sword was surrounded by a dark aura which was laced in emerald green. Time to finish you off, Omnimon said, and then slashed in a circle before stabbing his sword up into the air. Omni-Force, all delete, and then a large pulse of black and green energy raced from the tip of the Grey Sword as it deleted all the Diaboromon. The original looked in shock as the attack reached for him, but using his speed he ran away from the attack. But it was like a heat-seeking missile. After all his clones were destroyed, the attack formed a beam of black and green that raced after him. Diaboromon then jumped from the wall and headed straight for Omnimon with a smirk, aiming for the blonde shinobi on his shoulder. The digital hazard sign began to glow on his chest. However, Omnimon stopped the virus Digimon by impaling him through the stomach with his sword. Naruto then walked along the length of the Grey Sword, the all-delete closing in fast as Naruto stared into Diaboromon's aqua-colored eyes. The blue color then receded from his iris before Naruto's own blue eyes, similar to the way Sasuke's curse mark formed and receded. Then he looked into the yellow eyes of Diaboromon. Who is the master? He asked. Diaboromon chuckled as the digital hazard symbol on his chest began to fade. You will never find him, or maybe you will. He needs you to regain his former strength. The master will be reborn. The fallen angel Digimon is the demon that will destroy all who opposes him and will rule the digital world. Revenge is coming. Diaboromon was then struck with the all-delete and then vanished into nothing. Not even red flakes of data. The attack completely wiped his data. Naruto and Dorumon dropped down from Omnimon's body and floated in front of him. It has been an honor fighting alongside the Royal Knight, Naruto and Dorumon said with a bow of respect. Omnimon chuckled, and then the digicode on the Grey Sword glowed. I could say the same. It has been an honor fighting alongside such a powerful tamer, and his Digimon Omni spoke in the merged voices of Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon. Omni held out the Grey Sword and drew a circle in the digital air before a portal formed. A glowing yellow portal with flakes of red, white and yellow data squares surrounding it. This portal will take you home, and arigato for saving my life. Naruto and Dorumon Omnimon said with a bow, and then the blonde tamer and his Digimon left through the portal. Digimon Gaming Factory Control Room. Everyone watched in awe as the blinking digital hazard sign on the screen disappeared. The lab tech typed a few keys and smiled as he watched all the stolen data being restored. Ishida-sama, the data is returning to the memory banks, the lab tech said. Kari cheered along with the class. Naruto ran back into the room. He had been returned to his apartment and left Dorumon there as he used his Jinten jutsus to reach back to the Digimon gaming factory. So what did I miss? The whisker-marked blonde asked. Kiyoshi and Katsumi turned to see Naruto standing there. Oh, Naruto, the virus is gone, and the company got back its stolen memory. Also, you should have seen it. The screen was filled with moving blue pixels. But then they began to start getting wiped out like a shooting game where somebody was just shooting a gun at the pixels, and then a black and green circle came from the center of the screen from behind the symbol, and then wiped out all the virus pixels. The lab tech said the pixels were the embodiments of the virus, and the explosions and black and green thing we saw was actually some sort of antivirus program. But they couldn't trace it back to the server, Kiyoshi explained. Then I guess I missed a lot, Naruto said. They have no idea how right they were about the gun thing, he thought. Naruto then enhanced his vision with his chakra and looked as the digital hazard symbol vanished, and then he saw Omniman standing there making a very cool pose before looking at Naruto and winking. Naruto smirked. You're welcome, Omniman, he thought. Okay class, the tour is over, time to go home, Mr. Kazuma said. The class groaned before turning to leave, but Kari stopped them. Now hold on, students. The assistant manager of the Digimon gaming factory piped up. The class turned to face her with a look that said, you are our salvation in them. Kari chuckled. Well, you don't think you can leave without taking these free packs of Digimon cards with you, the blonde, gray-haired woman said with a smile as she withdrew a box with 32 packs of Digimon cards. There's one pack for each student, so line up the class, sis, as they were told, and open their card packs as soon as they got them. Everyone was excited as they opened them. Some screamed in happiness at getting a card they didn't have, while some groaned at the knowledge of already having cards they already had. Naruto, Kiyoshi, and Katsumi opened their packs and looked at each other's. What did you guys get? Katsumi asked. Naruto and Kiyoshi looked through their hands, which had 12 cards. I got a Hyper Wing, 2 Power, a Holy Shield, and a Speed Modification cards, while for monsters, I got Vemon, Agumon, Ankylomon, Angemon, Divimon, Lady Divimon, and Marine Angemon, Kiyoshi said. Katsumi looked at hers. I got awesome. I got the Warp Digivolution card, 2 Agumon, a War Greymon, Metal Garurumon, and a Black Tyrannomon. And for modifications I got War Greymon's Brave Shield, Garurumon's Howling Blaster, and 3 speed cards. The female member of the trio replied. They then looked at Naruto, who was busy looking at his cards. What did you get, Naruto? Katsumi asked. I got a Black War Greymon, Imperialderman Dragon Mode, Imperialderman Paladin Mode, Armadillomon, Flamedramon, oh I don't have that one, and Ogremon for monsters, and for modifications I got the Omni Sword for Imperialderman Paladin Mode, War Greymon's Terra Force, Metal Garurumon's Metal Wolf Claw, Celestial Arrow for the Angemon, which I already have, and the Digi Egg of Courage, Naruto said. Kiyoshi and Katsumi had their jaws hanging in shock. However, it was because of this that they didn't notice Naruto had called out only 11 cards, and Naruto was too confused at their shell-shocked looks to know that he only called out 11. Dude, you're really lucky. I mean, those were some good cards, especially the Flamedramon, Imperialderman Paladin Mode, the Omni Sword, and the Digi Egg of Courage, Kiyoshi commented. Wanna trade? Katsumi asked. Naruto chuckled and shook his head as he placed the cards in his card case. Everybody threw out their card packs in the trash, and when Naruto was about to, he noticed the shining in the pack. A holo foil card. Naruto looked in and pulled out the card, and he stared at it with curiosity. On it was a picture of an angelic-looking Digimon, which was placed on a shadowy background. The angel itself was what made it holo foil. The card was called Fallen Angel, which was because the angel was in a sea of shadow, so it was contradictory. This card has the picture of that Digimon like the one in my dream, he thought. However, as he stared at it, he blinked in surprise as he could have sworn he heard a giggle, and the card winked at him. Naruto, come on, Mr. Kazuma called out to his student. Naruto nodded and threw away the pack and placed the card in his pocket. He then ran outside and went on the bus and sat with his friends. But while everyone else was making noise, Naruto was remembering the words of DORUMON back in the digital world. You will never find him, or maybe you will. He needs you to regain his former strength. The master will be reborn. The fallen angel Digimon is the demon that will destroy all who opposes him and will rule the digital world. Revenge is coming. The words echoed in his mind, and then he looked back at the fallen angel card in his card case. Was there a connection? was what he thought as he stared out of the window of the bus. He then took out the card and stared at it again. The master, Naruto realized, the picture of a young blonde-haired youth with 8 wings on his back, 2 on his head, sky blue eyes, golden bands on the wrists and ankles and dressed in a white robe, strange purple markings on the chest area. The only thing that was missing to complete the picture from his dream was the digital hazard sign on the angel's picture's right hand. The master, could this be the master? The card shone in the sunlight. Naruto had no idea how right he was. A few weeks after the field trip to the Digimon gaming factory, life was pretty normal. Naruto was sitting at his desk on the beautiful Friday afternoon. 1 month had passed since he had become Dorumon's partner and the two were doing pretty well. After school, Naruto and Dorumon still helped Takato, Henry and their partners fight better as Henry realized that there are some battles that you cannot avoid from when he saw Gargamon beat that Musyamon. They had improved greatly with Gilman being able to actually perform a rapid-fire pyrosphere and use less energy when using a single one, as well as being able to coat other parts of his body in fire like when he used Rockbreaker. Terrierman was able to perform the Terrier Tornado at a much faster rate and make it larger. He was also able to form it around individual parts of his body so as to add a little spin to his melee attacks. Things have really changed these past weeks, the blonde tamer thought. He then glanced out the window as he always did as Mr. Kazuma gave a lecture on the history of Japan. Mr. Kazuma paused in his lecture and turned to Naruto and saw the boy gazing out the window. The teacher glared before picking up his chalkboard duster and looked at Naruto. The other students then thought the same thing. He wouldn't. Their thoughts were crushed as Mr. Kazuma threw the piece of stationery. He did. Naruto continued to gaze out the window as the duster neared his head. But then he did something unexpected. His eyes were suddenly filled with a cold look, one that could cause you to freeze up from fear alone. Naruto turned his head, stood up and caught the duster. Then in one fluid motion and with accuracy that Robin Hood could be proud of, even thought said Archer is fictional, Naruto threw the black duster and threw it at Mr. Kazuma. The duster collided with the teacher's skull and caused Mr. Kazuma to lose his footing and fall to the floor. Naruto stared with the cold look before it left, and his eyes returned to their normal sapphire gaze of indifference and then confusion as he saw the entire student population of the classroom stare at him with shock. Naruto tilted his head in confusion. "What?" he asked. The class sweat dropped at that. "Naruto, do you know what you just did?" Katsumi asked. Naruto shrugged. "I felt something coming at me, I caught it and threw it." "I don't see the big deal," the blonde replied. "Naruto, you caught a duster that Mr. Kazuma threw at you when you weren't even looking and then chucked it back at him and clocked him in the head," Kyoshi explained. Naruto blinked before smirking. "Cool, I was getting bored with that lecture," the blonde Jinchuriki said. The class sweat dropped again and then looked as Mr. Kazuma as he climbed to his feet. The bell then rang as school ended. Class dismissed. The young teacher groaned before falling back to the ground from pain. The students cheered before rushing out the door. Naruto immediately took off, not even taking time to say goodbye to Katsumi or Kyoshi. The blonde tamer rushed home and the door to his apartment. Dorumon was watching television with Kalluman. Naruto glanced at the Digimon pair in confusion. Dorumon?" the blonde asked. The purple-furred dragon looked up from the electronic device along with Kalluman. "Oh hey," Dorumon said. Kalluman's ears expanded before jumping and gliding over to Naruto and hugging his face. The white little Digimon rubbed his face against Naruto's nose. "What are you doing?" he asked. The light of Digivolution smiled. "Eskimo kisses," he exclaimed happily. "And now that Naruto's home we can go play." Naruto looked at his partner. Dorumon ... "Why is Kalluman here? On the other hand, how did he get here?" Naruto asked. Dorumon turned off the television and then went into the kitchen before taking out some bread slices to eat. "Oh, I was in the park, still putting up the Digimon-obsessed child routine like you told me to, and then I found the little guy just sitting there all by his lonesome. And then..." Naruto raised his eyebrow. "Then?" Dorumon sighed. "He asked me to come over. I said no at first. Then he asked again. I said no again. And then the little Gaki kept asking me before he pulled out the look," Dorumon said. "The look?" Naruto asked. Dorumon nodded. "The look that could melt the hearts of even a Devimon, the puppy dog eyes. I knew I shouldn't have taught him it," Dorumon said, falling to his knees. "That look could defeat anything," Naruto chuckled. "Please, I could withstand it," Naruto said. Dorumon looked in surprise before glaring. "Yeah, right, Kalluman ... do it," Dorumon said. Kalluman looked at his friends in confusion. "Do what, Dorumon?" he asked, his ears flapping in the wind that blew from the nearby window. "Do the puppy dog eyes on Naruto," the purple dragon said. Kalluman smiled and nodded before jumping over to Naruto. Then Kalluman looked up Naruto with his humongous green eyes that seemed to somehow get larger. His lower lip expanded and protruded from his mouth and began to quiver, and then his ears shrank down. Naruto looked down with an impassive look on his face. A few minutes later, Calumen refused to give up and suddenly the cuteness intensified and Naruto's left eye began to twitch. He can't keep it up much longer, Dorumon thought. Naruto's eyes then began to twitch rapidly as he continued to stare down at Calumen. Then Calumen spoke with the most pure, innocent voice. "Will you be my FUNN, Naruto?" Calumen asked. Naruto couldn't take it anymore and then fell to his knees. "Uwu, stop it please, I'll be your friend, just don't do that again," Naruto yelled, clutching his hair. Calumen smirked and then jumped on Naruto's head. "Hooray, now let's go get some cream puffs. I love cream puffs," the little cream puff of a Digimon said. Naruto sighed and then glared at Dorumon, who was smiling broadly as he bit down a piece of bread. "Not a word, Dorumon," Naruto growled. The dragon rookie Digimon still kept up his smile, and the three headed for Matsuki's bakery. Streets of Shinjuku. Naruto and Dorumon walked down the street to Tekato's house. Bakery as Calumen rode atop the blonde's head of golden locks. Cream puffs, I love cream puffs, hooray," Calumen yelled. "Calumen, could you pipe down? People are starting to stare," Naruto said to the little Digimon on his head. Calumen's ears shrank down and nodded, and the rest of the trip was quiet as they reached Matsuki's bakery. "Ohio, Mrs. Matsuki," Naruto said as he waved to the young woman. Chikato's mother smiled at the blonde. "Why hello there, Naruto. What can I do for you?" she asked. "I would like a few cream puffs please," he said. The brown-haired woman nodded before packing the pastries into the brown paper bag and then ringing up the price. "That would be 25 yen, she declared. Naruto nodded and pulled out the money and took the bag. "Arigato, Mrs. Matsuki," he said, and then left the store with Dorumon, who still munching on some slices of bread from the apartment. Calumen dove down from Naruto's head and plopped into the bag of cream puffs. Apparently Calumen's small stature came in handy during this predicament, as the bag was spacious enough for him to sit in it as he stuffed an entire cream puff in his surprisingly large mouth. Calumen clutched his face and smiled. Yummy," the white Digimon said before diving in for more cream puffs. The trio walked for a while before Naruto turned the corner where he saw a familiar figure. Naruto tilted his head as he saw the same fiery red hair of Rika. The trio continued to follow the red-haired individual for a while, with Naruto glancing down at the rather short gray skirt. He then began admiring the girl's ass and raised his eyebrow. Not bad, he thought. Better than other girls her age. Probably gets it from her mother. Naruto then looked down at his Digimon and then pointed at who he thought was Rika. "Is that?" he asked. Dorumon looked at the gray school uniform that seemed to clash with the girl's fiery hair. "I think it is Rika," the two said. The red-haired girl turned at the mentioning of her name, and then her eyes widened as she saw the whiskered blonde standing behind her as he held her book bag. "Whiskers," she exclaimed. "What the hell are you doing here?" Naruto held up the bag of cream puffs for Calumen. "Getting some cream puffs that Calumen is currently eating. What are you doing?" the blonde tamer asked, and then looked at Rika, and in a skirt no less. He said with a chuckle. Rika blushed lightly at the remark, but forced it down. "Oh, shut up, Whiskers. I'm just going home for your information," she said with that tone that all females have when they get the urge to argue. Naruto sighed, and then he walked towards Rika and smirked. "So mind if we join you for your walk?" Naruto said. Rika sighed in annoyance. "Damn you and your shining white teeth," she thought. "Fine. But no funny business," she warned him. The blonde gave a mock salute. "As you wish, your majesty," he said with a wink. The three then continued to walk, while Calumen stayed within the confines of his bag and munched on the third cream puff. "So why do you walk with Dorumon? Aren't you afraid that somebody might try and take him?" she asked. Naruto shrugged. "People just think he is a kid in a Digimon costume, so no one really bothers," he explained. Rika nodded as she glanced around, seeing the movement of Renamon among the buildings. "So where's Renamon, observing you from afar?" Dorumon asked. Rika nodded and didn't say anything else. Calumen then popped out of the bag with the last cream puff in his mouth. "Oh hi Rika," Calumen greeted with a smile as he waved his fingerless hand. Rika looked at the white little Digimon and couldn't help but smirk. "Hey, Calumen," she said. Naruto then decided to hang back so he could tie his shoelace. Rika continued walking as she knew he would catch up. Of course, she never knew that his shoes had no shoelaces since they were Velcro strapped. Naruto then followed while looking up and down Rika's figure. Judging from the diameter of her chest, she was probably bordering between a B cup and a C cup before he settled on her ass. He nearly tripped a few times before steadying himself since he wasn't watching where he was going. However, his show ended as they finally reached Rika's house. "Well, see you around then," Whiskers, Rika said as she entered her house. Naruto and Dorumon nodded before leaving the premises. Calumen jumped out of his cream puff bag since they were all gone and then settled himself back on Naruto's head. "Naruto, why is Rika leaving? Doesn't she like us?" the little rabbit-looking cream puff asked. Naruto smiled and glanced up at Calumen. Of course she does, she just has a weird way of showing her feelings to other people, Kallum and Naruto explained. Kallum nodded and then the three headed back to Naruto's apartment. Naruto was looking through his modification cards before taking out the fallen angel card. Who are you? He asked the card's picture of the young blonde angel. The card of course gave no response and then Dorumon entered the room. Naruto looked up from the card and put it away. Where's Kallum? He asked. The dragon Digimon shrugged. You know the Gaki, stealth and somewhat in his character. He gets up and leaves without anyone knowing. Probably went to look for some fun, Dorumon said. Naruto nodded before glancing back at the card case. Something seems to be bothering you, Dorumon said. Naruto remained silent and his partner sighed. Naruto, we're partners. You can trust me. Naruto still remained silent and the dragon Digimon sighed. Alright, but if you wanna talk. Dorumon then turned and left the sentence hanging as he went back to watch the TV. Naruto continued to stare at the ceiling. He stared for about 2 hours as he thought about the master and why he was involved in it. He hated not telling Dorumon about the master. He hated keeping his only best friend in the dark. But Dorumon was not a part of this, it involved him and him alone. You are right, Naruto. This is about you, a voice spoke in his head. Naruto growled. So you're the master, Naruto growled. The voice chuckled. Well, I wouldn't call myself a master, but more of a supreme overlord. Haha, you will help me, Naruto. Whether you like it or not, and then when I am free I will end your friends. Especially Dorumon, who you care oh so much about, the voice said, and if it had a face. Naruto knew the voice was smiling. Naruto's eyes flashed red and he growled at the air. Do that and if I ever find you, I will tear you apart. Naruto roared. The voice chuckled again. Well then, little Naruto, you know what I am. You know my appearance, but you don't know my name. Unless you possess that information you won't know how to defeat me, and I promise you if you attempt to kill me, let's just say you're going to have the fight of your life. Until then, ta-ta. The voice then left Naruto's mind. Naruto tossed and turned on his lower bunk. I don't want to risk Dorumon's life just because of this guy. If I ever find this Digimon, this master, I will not let Dorumon perish because of me. Naruto thought and then got off the bed and then grabbed his card case and his D-Arc. He walked out of the bedroom and then headed towards Dorumon. Which is why we will get stronger. Hey, Dorumon, wanna go for a little patrol around the town? Naruto asked. Dorumon switched off the television and jumped off the couch. He then walked up to his tamer and smirked. Now that ... is a stupid question because you already know I would say yes, Dorumon said. Naruto smirked and patted Dorumon on the head. Then let's go, Naruto said. Naruto went to the window of his apartment and Dorumon stood next to him. Naruto opened it and then stepped onto the windowsill. Dorumon jumped onto his back and rode piggyback. Akuzo, Naruto and Dorumon said simultaneously. Naruto then channeled chakra into his feet and then took to the roof of another building. He then set Dorumon down as they both started roof hopping. After jumping around the roofs for a few minutes, they stopped as Naruto's D-Arc began to beep. The hologram of a compass formed and then pointed in the direction of a digital signal. Naruto and Dorumon then followed the direction of the compass before the two dropped down on the ground and went towards the area where the Digimon was on foot. Shinjuku Park. Naruto and Dorumon walked into Shinjuku Park and looked around. Since it was night, there was no one around to see them if any Digimon were to appear. So where is the Digimon? Dorumon asked. Naruto looked at his D-Arc. Well, the D-Arc says we are near it, but the D-Arc began to beep again. There is another Digimon present somewhere in the vicinity. The two glanced around the area. But the ground then began to rumble beneath them. The two quickly jumped out of the way in separate directions, Naruto to the left and Dorumon to the right. A large mole-looking beast with purple fur covering its back, head and tail, while the entire parts of its lower body were a tan color. 3 drill-like claws were on each of its 4 paws, and in place of a nose, a large steel drill was found spiraling as it rose out of the ground. Naruto took out his D-Arc and scanned the Digimon, and then a holographic image of the Digimon appeared along with some information. Dremojman, a champion-level Digimon. His ability to dig is enhanced by the drill-like claws on his paws and the large one on his nose that acts as a horn. His attacks are Iron Drill Spin and Mole's Claw. Naruto read before pocketing his D-Arc. Well, Dorumon, looks like we get to do some training as well, Naruto said with a smirk. Hell yeah, the Dragon Digimon said with excitement. However, as the two were about to attack, they stopped upon seeing that the Dremojman was not even looking at them. It was looking around the part, sniffing the air for something ... or someone. What do you think he's looking for? Dorumon asked. Naruto shrugged. I don't have a hell of a clue, Naruto replied. Naruto then walked up, cautiously to the Dremojman, but still kept a distance. Excuse me, Naruto called out. The large mole Digimon glared down at Naruto upon hearing him. What the fuck do you want, Gaki? Can't you see I'm busy looking for that little stupid piece of shit of a Digimon? Dremojman growled. Naruto stepped back a bit. Whoa there, we just want to know what's going on, Naruto explained. The Dremojman raised a non-existent eyebrow. Dorumon appeared next to Naruto as he ran up to his tamer. That would be me and him, the smaller Digimon said. So I'm guessing you guys are tamer and partner, Dremojman said. The duo nodded. I see, well then maybe you guys can help me in some way. However, Naruto noticed he paused in Dremojman's sentence. Naruto saw the Digimon standing as still as stone. Dremojman. Then Naruto caught sight of Dremojman's eyes. The original deep blue color suddenly became overcome with the color of sky blue before mixing and forming a light blue color. Then on its chest, the digital hazard sign formed in violet. Naruto and Dorumon stood back. Yes, you can help me by freeing my master, the fallen angel, Dremojman said. Dorumon's eyes widened. The same thing seemed to have happened to Raidramon and Diaboromon. But what was happening? What the hell is going on? Dorumon yelled out. My master wishes for Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze to assist in his freedom. Trapped in the dark prison, my master awaits his time for when he will be free, destroying his sovereigns and taking control of the digital world, Dremojman said in a robotic tone as if he were brainwashed. Which he was. However, my master knows of the interference that will be made by the Digimon partner, so you Dorumon must be eliminated. Dremojman charged forward and tried to slash at Dorumon and Naruto. However, the duo jumped over the attack. Naruto drew a kunai and Dorumon readied his claws. However, the large mole Digimon avoided the slashes from the two and then crashed his larger body against the two. Naruto and Dorumon grunted in pain before righting themselves in midair and landing firmly on their feet. Naruto then took out an explosive note and wrapped it around the handle of his kunai. Then he leapt into the air and threw the weapon, the tag burning from a little application of chakra before the blonde threw it. Dorumon fired metal spheres from his mouth. Metal shoot. Dorumon yelled. The metal spheres flew around the kunai and then they impacted with Dremojman's body, and then to add even more damage, the kunai embedded itself into Dremojman's body before exploding. The Dremojman was sent skidding backwards into a tree. Dremojman grew angry and then his drill claws began to spin before he thrust them forwards. Mole's claw. The attack struck the ground where Naruto and Dorumon had stood as they avoided the attack. Tamer and partner landed on the ground. Naruto then charged chakra into his fist and performed an uppercut, sending Dremojman's chin upwards. Then Naruto spun in the air and performed a roundhouse kick that knocked the Digimon's face to the left. Then he performed his favorite jutsu, Kagebenshin no Jutsu. Naruto yelled as the clone materialized. Then the clone grabbed Naruto as the original formed a rasengan. The clone threw his creator before puffing out of existence. Rasengan. Naruto yelled and then the attack struck home, hitting the mole Digimon just below the horn and sent it skidding backwards. Dorumon then followed up by charging into the champion Digimon's chest. Hyper Dash Metal. The purple-furred dragon crashed against the larger Digimon's chest, causing the breath to be forced out of its body. Dorumon then jumped and performed Dash Metal and slammed his skull against Dremojman's chin before spinning and slamming his tail against the face of the Digimon, and then fired multiple metal spheres from his open maw with a cry of metal shoot. The attacks impacted, but suddenly Dremojman was surrounded by a violet aura. The master will not rest until Dorumon is destroyed, Dremojman said. Then the horn on Dremojman's nose began to spin. Iron Drill Spin. The large horn spun and aimed to impale the small rookie Digimon, but Dorumon leapt over it and opened his mouth. Metal Shoot. The metal spheres impacted with Dremojman's body as Dorumon completed his flip and slid down Dremojman's back. The attack did nothing to stop the rampaging champion Digimon. Then Naruto appeared and formed 5 Kagebenshins. One quickly punched the Digimon in its face before another performed a backflip and kicked strongly against Dremojman's chin. Then the remaining 3, including the original, quickly flashed through hand signs. Katen. Katebakufu no Jutsu. Fire Style. Fire Explosion Jutsu. Large waves of flame flew from the clones in the original's hands and crashed and burned the Digimon. The Dremojman howled in pain, but then the dark aura grew larger and the flames disappeared. Naruto's eyes widened before the Dremojman charged forth with surprising speed for someone of his bulk. Iron Drill Spin. The large horn drill attack crashed into the ground as Naruto and Dorumon were barely able to avoid it, and were forced to do it more as they continued to back up until their backs hit a tree. Kyuso the two growled as they watched the Dremojman chuckle before charging forth with his horn, but stopped as he was bombarded with millions of diamond shards. Diamond Storm. Came the voice of the blonde fox Digimon. Naruto and Dorumon, as well as Dremojman, turned to see Rika and Renamon standing a few feet away from them. Need a little help there, Whiskers? Rika asked with a playful smirk. Naruto's eyes widened as he watched Renamen's fist glow with ghostly blue flames. Cowerpaw. The fists of flame crashed down on Drimogeman, but seemingly had no effect as Drimogeman just stood there before slamming his paw against the blonde fox and sending Renamen to the ground. Renamen quickly rolled out of the way as Drimogeman brought down his claws with a cry of Mole's claw. So Whiskers, how are you of all people getting beat you by this overgrown tunnel digger? Rika asked. Because it got some kind of power boost and the power is dark. I can feel it, Naruto said as he watched the Drimogeman's eyes that were once a beautiful shade of deep blue now filled with the color of ice. Naruto and Dorumon nodded to each other before racing towards the Drimogeman. Naruto quickly took out his D-Arc as Dorumon leapt into the sky and descended upon the large champion Digimon. Digimodify, Flamedramon activate. Naruto yelled, swiping the new Flamedramon card he got. Dorumon was then coated with orange flames as he crashed down on Drimogeman as caused the champion Digimon to cry out in pain. However, during the battle a pair of large blue eyes watched from a short distance away atop the branches of a tree. Renamen quickly jumped and crossed her arms in front of her. Diamond, but the attack took too long to charge and Drimogeman quickly allowed the drill claws to spin. Mole's claw, and then slashed as Renamen, allowing her to meet her new best friend the dirt. Renamen groaned as Dorumon was also hit with the attack. However, before the large Digimon could finish them off, Drimogeman heard movement in the foliage of the nearby oak tree, and turned to see the pair of large blue eyes. No witnesses to what has occurred here besides, I was looking for you. Drimogeman quickly slashed down the tree with his claws and then a panicked meow was heard. Everyone looked to see a small white cat that looked like an Egyptian cat, with two large yellow paws on its forearms that seemed to be gloves with 3 large claws on each one. The ears of the cat Digimon were tipped in purple fur as well as the tail. A golden ring was hung on the tail of the newly arrived Digimon. Gatomon Drimogeman growled as then brought down her claws. Dorumon's eyes widened as he saw the young Gatomon about to be deleted. Dorumon quickly rushed forth. Hyper Dash Metal. The dragon Digimon cried out and then dashed to the side of Drimogeman and crashed against the champion Digimon's face. Rika took out her D-Arc and scanned the Gatomon. Gatomon, a champion level. Kind of puny for that level of Digivolution. Its gloves are copied from data of Saber Leomon, hence they are quite strong and near unbreakable. Its attacks are Lightning Paw, Nico Kick and Cat's Eye Hypnotism. Rika read as she looked at the cat Digimon. The white feline then scampered out of the way as Drimogeman nearly fell on top of it. The Drimogeman growled as its dark aura suddenly grew stronger than before. That is it. The mole Digimon roared, no more games, I will kill you all. The digital hazard sign on the Drimogeman suddenly glowed deep violet before the dark aura surrounded Drimogeman and then surrounded its horn. Iron Tornado of Darkness. A large black and purple twister formed as the drill on Drimogeman's snout began to rotate at rapid speeds. Oh, how I wish Calumen were here right now to make Renamen digivolve. Naruto prayed and his prayers were granted. Hi guys, whatcha doin'? Calumen asked, popping out of nowhere. Then he began to shiver in fear and clutched Naruto's pant leg as the twister grew in speed and power. However, Naruto looked down and was shocked to see the light of Digivolution there. Calumen, you're here, he exclaimed. Well yeah, I went to look for more cream puffs, but then I went to look for you since there were none after I left, Calumen said. Renamen, who was punching away with her power paw, but had no effect on Drimogeman, was suddenly sucked up into the tornado. Renamen, Rika cried out as her Digimon was taken into the dark wind circulation system. Dorumon ran up to Gatomon and helped the feline try to get somewhere safe, but then looked as Gatomon was clinging for dear life as the tornado was trying to suck her in. Let's end this, Drimogeman shouted and then thrust his head downwards, and then the tornado blasted outwards in a large crescent of darkness heading straight for Gatomon and Dorumon. Dorumon growled and then looked at Naruto. Digimodify, Wargremon's Brave Shield activate. The blonde tamer yelled. However, the defense hadn't formed fast enough and Dorumon was forced to take the hit for Gatomon. Gatomon looked in shock as the dragon Digimon, no larger than herself, held its own against the dark winds. The attack ended and Renamen was lying on the ground covered in slash marks. Dorumon seemed to be smoking and Gatomon was shocked. WWY... Why did you do it? The feline Digimon asked. I honestly don't know, but even if I don't know you, I can't let someone as young as you, someone who had just arrived in this world, to be taken away from it, Dorumon said as then coughed as he dropped to one knee. Gatomon quickly stood up and rested the dragon on the soft grass. You will live, please. At least let me know the name of my rescuer, Gatomon said. Dorumon smirked. Dorumon, and don't forget it, Dorumon said with a chuckle and then passed out. Naruto looked in shock as his Digimon was knocked out from the attack. Then he spotted Calumen. Rika, Digivolve Renamen, he yelled. Rika nodded and then her D-arc was glowing and then a light erupted from it along with a red glow from Calumen's inverted red triangle. Digivolution. Renamon was suddenly encased in a swirling blue egg of data. Renamon digivolved too. Renamon's skin peeled away to reveal a larger form covered by a wireframe pattern. The skin then reattached itself to Renamon's body to form her championess form changed to resemble a large golden and white-furred kitsune with the edges of the white fur that glowed with mystical blue flames on the paws. Instead of one tail, 8 more had sprouted out, now 9 blonde-colored tails each tipped with white fur that seemed to also glow with mystical blue flames just like her paw fur. The bottom of Kyuubimon's mouth was white and 2 purple slash marks were shown underneath her still glacial blue eyes and a large white mane extended along the entire length of her neck. The yin-yang symbol was shown above each of her 4 legs and one lay on the center of her forehead. A white and red rope tied in a bow with 2 golden bells attached to it was wrapped around her neck. The egg exploded as the champion Digimon howled. Kyuubimon, the mystical 9-tailed fox Digimon howled before charging at Drimogemon and then tackled the Digimon to the ground before jumping into the air and spinning. Dragon Wheel, a mystical blue dragon of flame formed and rocketed towards Drimogemon and impacted causing the mole Digimon to cry out in pain. Rasengan. Naruto cried out and then slammed his spiraling chakra sphere into the side of the beast before unconsciously drawing on Kyuubi's chakra and punched the Digimon sending it flying literally. Rika, Renamon and Gatomon watched in shock at the feat Naruto performed. Kyuubimon. Some fire Naruto cried out as he formed 8 shadow clones and each of them held a Rasengan. Kyuubimon seemed to have caught on and then her tails fanned out as each was tipped with a ghostly blue fireball. Foxtail Inferno. Each fireball rocketed towards Drimogemon, but then the Narutos intercepted with their Rasengans before the chakra balls became chakra ball of blue flame. The clone then rushed Drimogemon who was still getting up off the ground. This is for Dorumon, you team. Naruto yelled. Collaboration Jutsu, Rasen Daikaji, Collaboration Jutsu, Spiraling Inferno. And then the blue fireballs impacted and drilled tornadoes of flame deep into the body of Drimogemon and then a large explosion occurred sending Naruto flying backwards and rolling on the ground. Gatomon quickly aided in lifting Dorumon and taking him to his tamer, but struggled since Dorumon was quite heavy to lift due to her small body frame. However, a blonde foxtail landed next to her. Need some help? Kyuubimon asked. Gatomon nodded and then the tail wrapped itself around the 2 smaller Digimon and rested them on her back. Rika watched Naruto lying there still on the ground covered in dust. Naruto, she cried in alarm and then knelt down by his body. Whiskers, Naruto, are you okay? She asked. Naruto groaned and then turned to see Rika looking down on him. Huh? Am I dead? I think I'm seeing angels, Naruto said as he rubbed his eyes. Rika blushed at the angel comment and then helped Naruto sit up. That was amazing what you did back there, but also stupid, Rika said. Naruto and Rika chuckled at that remark. True, but stupid decisions are often the right ones, Rika-chan, Naruto said as he turned to Dorumon. I attacked with everything I had for Dorumon. Rika looked confused. I know he's your partner, why do you fight so hard for him? Rika asked. Naruto let a small smile grace his face as he slowly, with Rika's help, stood to his feet. Because he's like a brother to me and I don't want to lose him, Naruto said and sighed in relief when he saw Kyuubimon walk up to him and Rika with a slowly breathing Dorumon and a worried Gatomon that looked down at the dragon. Naruto smiled at the cat Digimon. He will be alright, Gatomon, the blonde said. Gatomon looked up from the face of her savior to look at the tamer. Gatomon's eyes widened and then she smiled a bit before nodding and then looking back at Dorumon. Why did you save me? She still wondered. The feline Digimon watched the unconscious dragon Digimon with curiosity and thanks. Kyuubimon, why don't you take them to the lake to get washed up, Naruto suggested. Kyuubimon nodded and took the 2 younger Digimon to the lake in the park. The 2 humans watched as the large 9-tailed fox left the scene. Why didn't you go? You are filthy, Rika said looking at the dirt-covered Naruto. Naruto smirked and then formed hand signs. Because I can do this, he stated. Suten, Yuyaku Shimasu no Jutsu, water style, condensation jutsu. And then the water vapor in the air suddenly became visible, and then a torrent splashed down on him, wetting Rika a bit. Hey, watch it, Whiskers, Rika yelled. Naruto chuckled and then formed more hand signs and then ended on the Tora sign. Gomen Nasai, let me get that. Katen, Deisui Shimasu no Jutsu, fire style, dehydration jutsu. And then a large burst of hot air was expelled from Naruto's body, drying his clothes and Rika's of whatever water was on it. Rika looked in awe. I might never get over the fact you're a ninja, Whiskers, Rika said. Naruto chuckled. Say, Rika-chan, Naruto asked. The redhead looked over at the blonde. Wanna go get some ice cream? It's still only 9 o'clock. They might still be open, Naruto suggested. Rika thought for a while. She was feeling kind of in the mood for something. Yeah, sure, why not? This isn't a date, is it? She asked with a slight blush. Naruto blushed also at the mentioning of his proposal being a date. Of course not, Naruto said with an embarrassed chuckle. Just offering a friend some ice cream, he added. Rika gulped and forced her blush down. Okay, the ice cream shop is somewhere near here, she said, and then as the two walked down the street, Rika realized something. Since when have you seen me as a friend? She asked. What do you mean? He asked, obviously confused by Rika's question. I mean, I've acted horrible to you in the beginning. I still remain closed off to everyone even though it has lessened a bit, but I don't know you that well, and other than the fact you're from a whole other universe, and that you're a shinobi, Rika said. Naruto then smirked. Rika, you're a tamer, and judging from your change in character, I'd say you've finally begun to open up to people, sort of. Also, you're a nice girl. You care for people you trust, and also you care for your Digimon, Renamon now. Ever since then, I've looked to you as a friend. Anyone like you would automatically be registered as a friend in my book, he said, placing his hands behind his head. Rika blushed lightly at the compliments he gave her. Arigato Naruto, she said, and then they arrived at the ice cream shop. The two walked up to the store owner and asked them what they wanted. Naruto got vanilla while Rika got strawberry, and just in case they got 3 more ice cream orders, in cups so it would be easier to carry. Chocolate for Dorumon and Renamon, and just plain vanilla for the new recruit Gatomon. As the two tamers walked back to the park, licking their cones, Naruto began to start up a small conversation. So, what are your likes, dislikes, and dreams for the future? He asked. Rika paused in her licking and looked confused at the blonde jinchuriki. Huh? Was all she could say. Well, you wanted to get to know me better, so I say I will do the same. So what do you like, dislike in your dreams? He asked. Rika thought for a while. She didn't really have a lot of stuff that she liked. Well, honestly, I would say I like Digimon, Renamon in particular, playing the card game, rock music, and I guess my friends. But since you are probably one of the only true friends I have, Whiskers, I would just say that I like you, of course not in that way as in I like you. Rika blushed as she tried to cover up her statement, knowing it sounded wrong. Naruto blushed a bit and scratched high whisker mark cheek and shook his hands. Ma, calm now, Rika-chan. It's an honest mistake, he said, although I wish you did like me that way. Anyways, my dislikes are those stupid bimbos in my class who only think about boys and looking good and buying a whole lot of makeup. Those weird clothes my Aka-chan gets me. She's away on a trip in Italy right now, but I really hope she doesn't bring me back anything, Rika said. I'm sure she only does what's best for you, Rika-chan. Besides, be glad you have your Aka-chan with you, Naruto said with a sad smile. Rika's eyes widened. Oh, right, your parents, they died, she remembered with a gasp. Naruto told it was nothing to worry about and then asked what her dreams for the future were. Well, honestly, I haven't really thought about it. I mean, I'm only 12, you're 13, and finding a career you want to do in the future is hard to decide in this place. I mean, there are just so many possibilities, Rika said. Naruto nodded and then his eyes brightened up at the realization that Rika was actually opening up to him. She really has changed this past month, he thought. So tell me your likes, dislikes, and dreams, Whiskers, she told him. Naruto nodded and then began. Okay, well, I'll start off with my dreams. Well, right now, since I've come to this universe, my old dream, and besides since I was banished from Konoha ... my dream to become leader of Konoha was crushed. But I found a new dream, he said, beaming, which is to protect all those people who I hold precious to me, Naruto said. He then finished his ice cream as Rika also finished hers. That's so deep, she thought. Anyways, my dislikes are the amount of time it takes for instant ramen to cook, evil Digimon, anyone who speaks ill of Digimon like as if they were nothing but data. I hated you a bit for that, but I could notice that you actually cared for Renamon after she nearly died, Naruto said. You hated me? She asked. Naruto shrugged. The feeling was mutual since I kicked Renamon's butt when we first met, Naruto said. Rika chuckled and then lightly punched him in the shoulder. Hey, you caught us off guard with not knowing who exactly you were, and besides, Dorumon doesn't show any data like Gilman, Rika said. Naruto chuckled before Rika told him to continue. Well, my likes are my friends, my Digimon cards, training with Dorumon so we can get stronger, and also Naruto paused. Rika looked confused. Also what? She asked. Naruto looked at her with a mischievous grin. Well, when I was walking with you back to your house, I hung back actually so I could get a good look at your ass, and I can honestly say it's in my top 5, Naruto said. Rika turned crimson. You what? Rika yelled. Naruto laughed and then took off for the park with an enraged Rika Nonaka chasing him. Get back here, Whiskers, so I can beat you up. The red-haired female roared with anime flames in her eyes. Naruto still laughed as he ran, which annoyed Rika to no end. Shinjuku Park. Kyuubiman was sitting with a clean Dorumon and Gatomon who were both laying down against her body. Gatomon was still awake, but had Dorumon lying down in her lap. Kyuubiman smirked at the scene. Only a few minutes out in this world and Gatomon has already found someone to care for, the blonde fox thought. She looked around for Calamon, but shrugged mentally when she saw no sign of he little cream puff Digimon, as he always disappeared after a battle. Then her ears perked up along with Gatomon's as they both heard the sounds of laughing and yelling. Then they saw Naruto running from an enraged Rika. The blonde tamer skidded to a halt. As a result, Rika kept running and ran smack into him, and she fell back on her, as Naruto had said a few minutes ago while they were running. Sweet ass. Now you stopped, Rika panted. Naruto smirked. It was a compliment, and besides it is one of the things I like, so I'm being honest and you get a compliment. It's a win-win for you, the blonde Jinchuriki said. Meanwhile, Kyuubi no Kitsune was laughing his ass off in the cage. Dear Kami-sama, the kid is too much. I wonder if I could pull off a move like that and get away with it. Probably the red-furred Biju thought. Naruto then held out his little bag and then handed Renamon the cup of ice cream they got her. Here you go, Renamon, he said, handing her it. What is it? She asked, sniffing the chocolate ice cream. It's ice cream. It tastes good, he said. Kyuubi sniffed it some more before taking the entire cup in her mouth, chewing it, and then swallowed before spitting out the styrofoam cup. How did you do that? Naruto asked. I have nimble teeth, the champion-level Digimon thought. Naruto then handed Gatomon the vanilla ice cream, and upon seeing Renamon eating her ice cream, the feline Digimon thought it was safe and so followed suit. Then after that, Dorumon had finally awoken. What happened? He asked, sitting up. Then his memory came to life and he jumped up. Okay, where's that Dremojman? I can take it. Let me destroy that thing. Where's Gatman? He asked. Naruto pointed behind him and the dragon Digimon sighed in relief at seeing the feline Digimon was safe. Are you okay? He asked. Gatomon nodded. Hi. Arigato for saving me back there, Gatomon replied in a shy tone that eerily reminded Naruto of the conversations he and a certain shy Hyuga always had. Dorumon smirked. No problem, Gatomon, Dorumon said, and then placed a clawed paw on her shoulder. Gatomon looked shocked, and then smiled back at the dragon Digimon. Dorumon, here, I got you some ice cream for your hard work, Naruto said. Dorumon smiled and then ate the chocolate ice cream with extreme vigor. After that, the group rested for a while. Naruto and Rika were lying down next to each other on the grass, observing the glittering stars in the dark expanse thought was the night sky. So this has been one weird night for you, huh? Rika asked. Naruto shrugged. I've had weirder, he replied, and then looked at his watch. It said 10 o'clock. The blonde then sat up and climbed to his feet. He then extended his hand for Rika to grab so as to help her up. She reluctantly allowed him to do so, and then Naruto turned to the three Digimon. Kyuubi had been digivolved a while ago using Naruto's data extraction card. Hey guys, let's go, Naruto said. The group nodded and then Naruto walked Rika home. They turned onto the streets where her house was. Naruto and Rika stopped with Renamon silently leaping over the gate to rest in her tree in Rika's yard. Rika turned and faced Naruto. Arigato for the ice cream ... in the talk, Rika said. Naruto nodded. Of course, anytime, he replied. So is it true that you really like my... She paused as her face turned red from her blush. Of course, I'd never lie about that. Like I said, it's in my top 5. Probably third, coming after my friends in my original world. Hinata and Kurenai, Naruto replied. Rika nodded and blushed again. Well, see, she said, and then went through the door. Naruto watched her leave. That thing you got behind you is a ama, as in, he sang, followed by a chuckle, quoting the song Body Language by Jesse McCartney. Rika blushed as he saw him make a circle with his index and thumb while his 3 fingers pointed up in the form of an OK sign. Urusai, whiskers, she said, but smiled all the while before entering her house. Inside Rika's house. Well, Rika, it's nice to see you hanging out with that nice boy, Seiko said. Rika blushed. It wasn't a date, she exclaimed. Seiko raised her eyebrow. I never said it was. Rika does that it was, the elderly Nanaka said, and then watched her granddaughter search for words to come back. So he says you have a nice behind? She asked, changing the topic. This resulted in causing Rika to turn crimson due to a blush that could give even Hinata a run for her money. Oba-chan, the fiery-haired girl whined in embarrassment. Oh, come on, Rika, your ass is something a girl should be proud of. I guess you got something other than your natural good looks from your mother, Seiko said. Rika blushed again before walking off to her room, not wanting to hear any more. Seiko sighed. This is just how Makino acted when she was crushing for a boy. I know Rika made the right decision in liking this particular Naruto boy, she thought with a small smile. On the way to Naruto's apartment, Naruto, Dorumon and Gatomon were walking down the road from Rika's house back to the apartment. So, finally made your move, Dorumon said with a sly grin. Naruto blushed slightly while Gatomon looked confused. I don't understand, Dorumon, the feline Digimon asked. Oh, Naruto, that's the name of this boy here. He's my tamer and he had a little crush on Rika, the red-haired girl who is a tamer to the renowned DORUMON explained. Gatomon nodded and then looked at Naruto. So you feel feelings of compassion towards your red-haired friend? Gatomon asked. Naruto was flabbergasted as Gatomon asked the question with pure innocence. Yes, he guessed his answer. Gatomon nodded. I see, so that means that would later want to copulate with her. What the hell does copulate mean? Naruto asked. Gatomon sighed. Humans lacked vocabulary, she thought. Undergo sexual intercourse, she explained. Naruto turned bright red as his face burned from the blood rushing to it and DORUMON laughed. Gatomon seemed to smirk a bit at Naruto's reaction. Manny, no. Well yes, maybe in a later time, but no okay. No, I do not want to have sex with Rika-chan, he said. Gatomon nodded. Okay, she replied. Naruto sighed. Now that the conversation was over, it was silent until DORUMON brought up an interesting topic. So Gatomon, where will you stay? DORUMON asked. Gatomon looked confused. What do you mean? The white cat asked the purple dragon. I mean, are you going to stay out here in the cold night? Or DORUMON paused and then he saw Naruto glance down at him. Naruto smiled warmly before bending down to DORUMON's ears so he could whisper to him and Gatomon wouldn't hear. I see that I'm not the only one with a developing crush, he teased the dragon Digimon. DORUMON seemed to have blushed, but it was hard to tell, but you could tell he was embarrassed from Naruto's comeback at the remarks between him and Rika. Don't worry, she can stay. DORUMON's orange eyes brightened in glee. Yes, DORUMON? Gatomon asked, goading DORUMON to continue his question. Well, maybe you could stay with with me and Naruto, the dragon Digimon said. Gatomon's eyes widened, her crystal blue irises staring into DORUMON's golden orange ones. Really stay with you? The cat Digimon asked, with what appeared to be a slight blush. DORUMON nodded. So will you? The rookie Digimon asked the champion level feline. Said feline thought for a while. She was basically alone, but why? Why do you ask, though? I mean, we just met like a few hours ago, Gatomon asked. DORUMON smirked. Because, in that time I was able to see you for who you were. You're a strong Digimon. But I can see the loneliness in your eyes. You have been alone in the digital world probably, and you've no one to talk to be a friend or a family member to you. As a result, you find it a bit hard to trust others. DORUMON said. Gatomon's eyes widened as the young rookie had described her entire life in the digital world in just a few words. Gatomon then knew she could trust the slightly taller dragon Digimon, as in his eyes she saw the same feeling of loneliness she had. Maybe the void in her heart could be filled by making friends with this new Digimon. Arigato, I will stay with you and Naruto, Gatomon said. DORUMON smirked and then hugged the cat Digimon. He exclaimed before letting her go. Gatomon froze as she felt a warm fuzzy feeling in her. What is this feeling? Is this happiness? I've never felt happiness other than when I escaped from being deleted, Gatomon thought, but decided not to think about it and followed the duo back to the apartment. As they entered the apartment, Naruto first had DORUMON show Gatomon around the apartment before having them go to sleep. Naruto was in his pajamas as he and DORUMON slept on their bunk beds, but Gatomon, being polite, said she would sleep on the couch. Are you sure? They asked and she nodded. With that, Gatomon slept, but during the night Gatomon tossed in her couch bed. Gatomon's dream. Gatomon was running through the digital world. A large wave of what looked like shadow was racing after her. Gatomon ran as fast as she could, but the shadow was too fast. But the last thing she saw before the shadows engulfed her was the image of a humanoid Digimon with the image of an angel. Her eyes widened as she recognized this Digimon from the hearing stories and seeing pictures from the older Digimon she had managed to befriend. A scream echoed in her dream as the scream was released from her mouth. The name of the Digimon was "And Gatomon's Dream." Lucem. Gatomon gasped as she sat up on the couch. She looked around the room and breathed heavily. She then got up and walked towards Naruto and DORUMON's room. She saw the light for the bathroom was on, meaning Naruto was in it since DORUMON was still snoring. Gatomon then climbed to the top bunk where DORUMON lay asleep. She gently nudged the dragon Digimon until he woke. Huh, he said, wiping his eyes. Gatomon, what's wrong? The dragon Digimon asked. I had a nightmare and I was wondering if it wasn't too much trouble if I could lie down with you. Gatomon asked. DORUMON seemed to have woken up a bit more from the question, but saw the look of need and fear in her crystal blue eyes. DORUMON's gaze softened and he nodded. Sure, and then Gatomon immediately latched onto him like a child would a blanket or a stuffed toy. DORUMON slowly developed a blush as blood rushed to his face, but then he sighed. He then positioned himself so Gatomon was lying on his chest. Then his tail wrapped around her small feline waist and the two fell asleep. The toilet flushed and Naruto stepped out after using the lavatory. However, before switching off the light he noticed the light shining on the sleeping Digimon. Dorumon was lying down on his back, with Gatomon's head resting on his chest. Their tails were slightly intertwined, with Dorumon's being long enough to be able to do that and also be wrapped around the cat Digimon's waist. Then he saw Dorumon's left arm wrapped around her shoulders and Gatomon's left hand being held by Dorumon's right. It was a cute little picture in the mind of the blonde shinobi, and he smiled warmly before turning off the light. Dorumon, you have just found someone else to protect, and thus, you have become that much stronger, the blonde thought before he retired to the land of dreams just like the other two Digimon. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author KitsuneDragon on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.